$60 million every day is what we pay. They fucking take, 'cause we're brainwashed, trained to believe, and they are dark cosmology. Trapped by you, there's many centuries ago, to the population and take control of the world. See them all before it's the only thing in the book. Vicious souls by.
Oops, I just realized because I set up my audio cables, I didn't need to select. Shoot, I did not need to select to share the audio of the screen. That doubled it. Sorry about that. Let's try that one more time. Hang on, guys. I really love this song by Christian Knapp. I hope that when I do it better, you will get to actually enjoy it. All right, just type in the chat if you can hear this.
They tell us they're exploring outer space, but it's all fake. It's fucking fake. $60 million every day is what we pay. They fucking take, 'cause we're brainwashed, trained to believe, man-made dark cosmology. A trap set by evil fuckers many centuries ago, to do the population and take control of the world. Seen it all before, it's the oldest play in the book. Fishing for souls by baiting the devil's hook. Wizards and warlocks practicing evil and magic, cooked up a plan and they called the plan science. Sprinkled all their bullshit with some formulas and math to make themselves look brilliant, 'cause only they understand. Gain the faith of the masses as they push theories and lies, trying to make us slaves and feel God lives inside. God lives inside. So they try to make us God lives inside. So we all roll over and say, go ahead, NASA. Have your fucking way. Why can't we see so much farther than they say? 50 miles plus across the ocean on a clear blue day. Why would they say it's a mirage you're looking at? Yeah, right, that's not science. That's just a load of bogus man. Use your eyes and a zoom lens. Spot an object far across the sea. That's all it takes to prove there's no bend to be seen. Look for any curve, and it just leads you to the fact. We got hills and valleys, but the rest is flat. It's fucking flat.
Ooh, it's fucking flat.
Ooh, it's fucking flat. Ooh, it's fucking flat.
All right, everybody, this is the Rose 777 channel. This is the post Poppycock chat with Nachiketa. We had a great Poppycock report, episode 12, that occurred right before this, so check it out on my channel. And now I'm going to be here with my dear friend from India, who, thank you for reminding me, Sue Finelli in the chat. I'd like to point out that Nachiketa just posted a really awesome video with his friend who looks like this younger gentleman who has the most wonderful spirit. I can just tell from looking at him and the way that they're hanging out, and he's doing these martial arts on this wooden thing, and then they're doing this stretchy yoga hanging from bands together, and it just looks like such a grand old time, and I wish I was there. And that just looked like true friendship too. I got some true friendship vibes up in this motherfucker. And by the way, what the heck is wrong with your name, Sue? It says his Finelli on the screen right now, and if it wasn't for the emojis and exclamation points that you're using, I would think that you were a fraud pretending to be Sue Finelli. So isn't that funny? Why does it say his Finelli? I just can't wait to get to the bottom of that one. You'll have to explain. Anyway, Nachiketa, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here as my favorite post-Poppycock guest.
Well, thank you very much, Rose, for having me. And that little fellow, Kartik is his name, and he is my friend's son. My friend's the Ukrainian friend who's been living here in India for 25 years. He was a Vedic monk for 10 years. So imagine, from 16, 17 years old, he left Ukraine, went to Russia, lived in Moscow for a year, and then ran away from Moscow back in the 90s and came to India with no money, hardly any money in his pocket at all, and joined an ashram and became a Vedic monk for 10 years. And and Kartik and I, we get along really well.
I can sense it, and I wish I could hang out with him. What languages does he speak?
Kartik?
Yeah.
He speaks Russian, English, and Hindi.
That is amazing. That is amazing. I just can't see. I think that language can be quite a limiter, and the more languages that you know, the more you can understand the different ways of thinking. I think that knowing those three languages must be such an advantage on every level I can imagine.
Well, I mean, it makes sense because in India, you kind of have to grow up learning English and Hindi. But then he has Russian and Ukrainian parents, so he knows how to speak Russian. And it makes sense. He should be, giving respect to his roots. We should all have an understanding where we come from and give some due respect to where we come from.
I agree. And I really wish that I knew the language of my ancestors, which would also be Russian. I'm like 100% Russian.
Oh, привет.
Da. Now, I wonder if it would be easier for him to learn more languages if he's interested in that. If he learned an Asian language and then a Germanic language, then wow. I mean, that would just be across the board. What am I missing though? I feel like I'm forgetting about a certain area. Germanic, Asian, and then we've got the Eastern European Russian idea, and then English, which is like the retard language, elite, and then Hindi, which is so ancient. Latin. Am I missing an area?
Well, there are a lot of languages in the world, so.
I know there's so many, but I mean, I'm trying to be. I guess I'm trying to spread out over different regions, because we can agree that there's a bunch of languages that all are based on Latin, like Spanish, Italian, and French. And then we've got Germanic languages like Dutch and German. And then you've got this Scandinavian languages like Norwegian, Sweden, and Danish. And then we've got the Asian languages, which I feel uncomfortable mixing together.
Icelandic is a little bit different from all of
Maybe Chinese and Japanese would work. Go ahead, Nachiketa, sorry.
No. Like I was just saying that Icelandic, I think, is a little bit different from those other Nordic languages, as far as I know. But the East Asian languages, oh boy, I tell you, they're very difficult to learn and master, I would say. I mean, I would say out of the three, like Chinese, Korean, and Japanese, Korean would be the easiest to start with, frankly, just because it's an alphabetic system. But then you have the Japanese, which uses a syllabolic system. So you understand about that. And then the Chinese, it's all pictograph, it's all characters. And that's really hard. I've tried to learn Chinese a little bit, and one little line can make a big difference.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not a language for dyslexics.
I know, absolutely. And Japanese uses kanji. So the Chinese characters that you see, Japanese uses those. So other than the kanji, the writing is also in hiragana, which is the phonetic. So when you see a kakikukake, it's not describing a thing. You're making the kakikukake, mami mumame, sasi susaze, zazi susaze, nani nu nane. I can't stop myself. I'm sorry. Let me go through this. Hahi huhahe, papi pupape, babi bubabe. And then there's an sound, which I think is funny. But yeah, hanashi yo nihongo desu yo. But yeah, so Nachiketa, I think it's so interesting because they have hiragana, which is phonetic. They use the kanji, and there's, God knows, I want to say at least 5,000 characters. It's a life of learning it takes to memorize all of the kanji. Yeah. And then there's katakana, which is another alphabet that they use to describe foreign names. So Bavsho, my last name, there's just no way that in hiragana you could spell that, but you could figure out how to spell Bavsho with katakana. Right. And I just love it because the way that they spell it out, like Disneyland is like Disneyland, and so it sounds right, like
Kokio. Katakana. Yeah. Well, like that's the problem with the Japanese language now because of my experience with Japanese. Well, like with the Japanese, you have to have a vowel sound all the time, like right in between all the consonants, and that's why it just sounds very like dot 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 like this, And they don't really use a lot of intonations in Japan and Korea. I mean, they do, but it's not as strong, I would say, compared to like Chinese, Vietnamese, Cambodia, those places. So I don't know. Language is hard. Languages are hard, man. You got to put your time in it.
For sure. Just to clarify what you were saying about how there always has to be a vowel. So just as an example, we say restaurant. So we've got like a S and a T next to each other and an N and a T next to each other. But in Japanese, it would be pronounced restauranto. There has to be a little vowel in between. And I love that. I love talking like that. I wish that I had the fortitude to just say all of my words, all of my English words in that way, because it just sounds like I'm rapping, but in a spiritually positive way, if that makes any sense.
I mean, I whatever makes you happy, that's what I would say.
I will do what floats my boat.
That's right.
What were we talking about the other day that prompted us to do
are we going to get into? I think we were talking about like different perspectives actually, and just we have I've traveled a little bit around the world. I wouldn't say I'm wholly experienced, and Europe is one of the countries that I have not been to. Europe, I mean not Europe as a country, but Europe, a continent. I haven't been to Europe. Hello, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Shoot. Oh, okay. Yeah. I couldn't hear anything. So
there's a strong delay.
I just been to East Asia. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like I grew up in America, and I think people have an understanding that I was born in Korea, and I was adopted at 10, and I grew up in a rural town of Wisconsin.
Yes. Nachiketa, did you disappear? You said that he grew up in Wisconsin, in rural Wisconsin, and then he just disappeared on me. Well, that's a shame.
Say like Koreans growing up in Korea. Oh.
Oh, it seems like the delay is so bad and that you cut out for a moment. Nachiketa, do you want to leave and come back? Or...
Oh, shoot. I do. I will come back.
Okay, goodbye. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. I can't help it. I've been nostalgia programmed, so I reference meaningless things from the 90s. I guess the weakest link was probably maybe the year 2000 or something like that. Anyone remember that dumb show? All right, and he's back.
Hello, can you hear me all right?
Hello? I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, good. Yeah. we can hear each other. So, like I was just saying, like, there's of course difficulties, and all children growing up in any kind of situation grow up with difficulties. I mean, even if you grow up in an all white or all Asian environment, people are going to pick on you, for being fat or stupid or short or whatever the reason. There are always going to be somebody picking on you for whatever reason. And sometimes it's just easier to pick on somebody who is very much different than everybody else. So that's all. I mean, like Korea, I've experienced a lot of bullying in Korea, and they are really harsh. I was a teacher in Korea for a while, and I saw kids really, and they're all Korean. They're, so they pick on each other for different reasons. So I think that's where we can start, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Jump right into it.
Okay, so should I just talk about some experiences growing up? I think that could be helpful for everybody. So, like my father, he never introduced me to any of his faculty members as this is my adopted son, And I grew up respecting my dad tremendously for being able to, not distinguish me from like his other. They have three kids of their own. My parents, they have three kids, you know, of their own, and they adopted three more kids. I'm the youngest in the family, and I never felt like they try to segregate me and say, and use us as like a little tokens, like, oh, look, what a great people we are because we adopted. And I know there are people who do that, you know, and you can call it what it is, but I think it's just bullshit that they're trying to, and there are people who go and say, oh, I have a black girlfriend or an Asian girlfriend, and that doesn't make me racist. Uh, I'm not sure if I can really agree with that because I've seen some people who behave in a really asshole-like manner and claim that they're not racist because their girlfriend is a black or Asian, but I don't know. Maybe
You're blowing
apples
my
and
mind,
apples.
Nachiketa. You're blowing my mind because we talked about this before. I would
Hmm.
never use the fact that I have a best friend who's black or that I
Hmm.
dated or had sex with a black guy as evidence for
Yeah.
not being racist. I would never do
Yeah.
that because I just feel like that's stupid and lame because your actions and your heart should dictate whether or not you're racist, It's not like that's just kind of
Yeah.
an argument. But however, I
Yep.
honestly can't imagine someone dating like how could you can you help me understand that because obviously I can't even compute right now. I want to understand where you're
Yeah.
coming from with that because that's a new idea for me to be a racist dating the race that which you're a racist towards.
Yeah, and there's a lot of reverse racism as well. I mean, it's really, really interesting thing. And the thing is, only the individuals who kind of go through life, like in a position that I have had, can really be able to see it for what it is. Because, as a person who is homogenous to that region, you wouldn't understand it. It would be very difficult for people in that region, and even for my parents. Like they know that I came home from school, like even bawling and saying like kids were picking on me and all this kind of stuff, and they were calling me chink and gook and all this stuff. But racism or maybe bigotry, I don't know what, like this kind of like stereotype or picking on somebody or any of this kind of stuff is so subtle sometimes. There are overt things like you're a gook, you're a Jap, you are a chink. That's a very overt thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, my ex-husband,
And
uh, hold on, I just want to get this out
yeah,
because I brought him up earlier, so now he's on my
yeah,
mind.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
such an asshole. Um,
yeah,
he was so retarded and brain damaged that when he would use racial slurs, he would use them to the wrong race. So he was all about Vietnam and talking about Vietnam, and
yeah,
so he would call Mexicans gooks,
yeah,
and so it was just so
yeah,
dumb
yeah,
that and like here's another example of how backwards it was. There was a guy who pretended to be homeless at the exit at Roscoe and the 405 freeway in Reseda or Van Nuys or
yeah,
whatever. But he had a Section 8 apartment in our apartment building, and his rent was only $17. And he only had one
Mm-hmm.
tooth in his mouth. And then DJ called him
Mm.
toothless. So DJ was calling a guy with one
Mm.
tooth toothless, but DJ didn't have any teeth at all. So I just thought it was so ironic.
Oh,
And
the irony.
and for people who haven't picked up, I married the guy not because we were in love. All right, it's a long story. It had to do with 2 felonies and me needing a wheelchair accessible bathroom. It was a bad situation, but it's just like, and I would say it to him, like, how could you make fun of someone for being toothless when they have a tooth and you don't have any tooth? So, yeah. And I'll just be, I had to blurt that out because sometimes it just helps to laugh. Are you still there, Nachiketa? Nachiketa? Oh no, not again. I'm kicking you out so you can come back and know to try again because we can't hear you. Kicking you out. I hope you guys enjoyed that. There are some stories that I'm kind of grateful just for the story. I do remember being when there was no power and he had broken his electric wheelchair. He destroyed everything with his electric wheelchair, including my electric wheelchair, and like the lights and just everything. And I would just think to myself, if I survive this, it's going to be a good story. So I'm cashing in on it right now. And there was another, while we're waiting for Nachiketa, another one was he ripped off the door to the bathroom. And it was the only bathroom we had. I still had to use it. And so for some reason, the second that I would go into the bathroom, which was right in front of the front door, that's when he would decide to open up the front door, go outside, light up a cigarette, and invite the neighbors in. I'm not even joking. And then one time, this is actually, I don't want to make anyone feel bad, but one time he nodded out on heroin in front of Law and Order, and a guy walked in and just kind of stood in the doorway while I was in the bathroom, and he pulled down his pants, revealing his you-know-what. And so these are the types of things that like really affected my brain in such a crazy way that I don't even know how to describe, but I lived through it. And but what I really need to work on, I see Nachiketa's back, and I'm going to let him in one moment. What I really need to work on, and if anyone wants to contact me to give me some suggestions, my brain is now very defensive. I don't want the possibility of that ever happening. And if that means like someone being in the house, even if I trust them, just the accidental, I don't know why it would be an accident, someone breaking down a locked door, but I want to stop being that way. I started repeating in my head, look, I had a traumatic experience and I'm always going to be messed up as a result of it. This is just how I am. And I got used to saying that. This is how I am now. It's kind of funny. It is what it is. But then I realized it's starting to suck for the people around me. And so because it's affecting other people, I'm starting to feel that I have a moral obligation to try to get over it. I'm like going to start crying right now just thinking about it because it's hard to try to put something like that behind you. I mean, I guess overcoming it and being like, okay, I was in that position where I was highly defensive. I couldn't defend myself, and I just had to give in to the fact that I'm in the situation. And now I don't want to come to tears thinking about it. I don't want to hyperventilate and worry about my physical reaction to certain stimulus that reminds me of something that is so far in the past. So I know that there are things that I can do to get better, but I think I just kind of have to make that decision to get better about that kind of anxiety. Anyway, let me let Nachiketa back in. He's my good friend and he'll help me stop crying. Hey, Nachiketa.
Oh man, hey, look, Rose, I hear you, man. I hear you. And like, hey, I was abused growing up when I was in Korea. Like my biological father, he used to beat up my mothers, and he used to beat me up a lot. And even when I was very young, like I was in kindergarten, I was almost going to get in a fight with another kid. And my father gave me a knife and this other kid a knife, and he told me to go ahead and fight. I mean,
Wow.
and yeah, there's a lot of trauma that we experience, and it sucks, and that's part of the reality that we're living in. And I'm not just saying that in a dismissive way, but like, like it affects us in a very big way. It affects, and we can't forget about it. It's like you know very deep inside of us, and only way to kind of solve all that, like for me, I realized I had a lot of anger, even more than now. Like maybe I seem like an angry guy now. I don't, for some people, but like I used to be really on edge, And once I started, practice meditation and get into the spiritual path, I, you know, calmed down a lot. But like I had a huge chip on my shoulder, and I still do. And I don't deny it. And people sometimes say to me, "Oh, Nachiketa, you have such a big ego," and I'm like, I don't deny. I don't deny I don't have an ego. Like, you show me one person out there who doesn't have an ego. And people feel like they can slight each other as if that it's okay. And they don't understand anything about that person. And like that's where, it's very difficult to joke about some things with certain people unless you know them well enough, unless you really, really know that they're going to understand it as what it is. And I think that's where we can go next, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I have a story. I have a story that I want to really tell quick before we get started, though. It
Do
it
it.
happened in university. When I was in university, I had several girlfriends. I had a Malaysian girlfriend, and then I had a Congolese girlfriend, a girl from Congo. Her name was Bijou, which means jewel in French, right? And then I had a Korean girlfriend while I was dating. And so my university was like 95% white, University of Wisconsin Stevens Point. My Congolese girlfriend, she would belong to a group of her friends, and it was all like international students mostly, but mostly Black international students who had a tight knit group who all hung out with each other. We had like guys from Kenya, we had guys from South Africa, we had guys from Ivory Coast, Morocco, different places in Africa, and they all felt very comfortable being with each other. And they used to have house parties, and I would go and because my girlfriend was from Congo, and she would invite me, and so I would be with in a room full of Black people, and partying. And I'm not saying all whatever. It's just that's what happened. I'm explaining that's what happened, and it was just very different from being in a room full of white people, but almost the same thing. You have, I'm used to going to parties where I'm like the only Asian person, and it's all white people. Why not go to a party and be the only Asian person in front of all these Black people? And I got along with them, all of them, just fine. Now, the main story is not about that. The main story is about this one guy. He was from Ivory Coast, and he came over as a language exchange student, and we hung out. We used to play soccer together and all that. And I would separate. I had these international friends would be different, and I had quote unquote like white friends. I'm not sure how else to put it like that because it's all white. It's Wisconsin and my university 95% white. So the international students separated themselves mostly, and then the white people generally hung out with each other, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So I used to go out because I used to play soccer and frisbee and basketball and all this stuff. And I had my roommates were white, and he's a big fisherman. We used to go to a bar that was kind of like run by our friends and all this stuff. So we were always there on the weekends. And I decided to bring this guy from Ivory Coast out there because I thought it would be kind of interesting to bring him, who didn't speak hardly any English, and to like a corner bar. It's called Friends or Friendlies, and just see
I
how
remember.
everything just to see how everybody interacted. And everything went fine. Like we were hanging out, we were playing pool, we were drinking, nothing, no problem. And then I was playing pool, and then I turned around, and this guy disappeared, the guy from Ivory Coast, and I saw him talking to some girl, And I thought, oh, okay, maybe he left. Well, guess what happened? Next day, when he was in class, the police came and arrested his ass. They took him during class. The police came and they just took him. And none of the black friends, quote unquote black friends of his, wanted to do anything about it. They didn't want to get involved. They didn't want to go to the police station to find out what happened. They didn't want to do anything at all. They were just afraid. Nobody knows what happened. I, of course, felt responsible because I brought him out to the bar, and the next day he gets arrested. I have to find out what the hell is going on. So I ride my bicycle over to the police station, and then they allow me to go and talk to him. He tells me to go and send his uncle an email, who's living in America, to let him know what's going on with him, and he's in jail pending trial for what? Raping a woman, beating her up and raping her. I'm like, what? Seriously? And I knew this guy for like, a good couple of weeks to a month now. And he seemed all right. And they wouldn't do anything like that just because it's such big risk to do it. Well, long story short, what happened was that he was taken out from the bar by this girl, and she gave him a BJ, in the park, and then he left. The girlfriend goes home and tells her boyfriend about it, and he beats her up, and then she calls the police on him. The police comes to figure out what the hell's going on, and she's beaten up, right? She's messed up. So instead of blaming her boyfriend, she says that this guy raped her.
Yep, this is a story that unfortunately is extremely common, and I get really fired up over this one. Patrice O'Neill, when he was 16 years old, he had a very similar situation where there was this girl and her friend who were out with his friends, and it was their idea to do all of these sexual things. And then they did so with like 5 guys, and they were kids, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening, And then they went a week later. So I guess one of those boys told other boys, you're never going to believe what these sluts did with us. And then those guys were like, hey, we know that this happened. Now you have to do it with us. So then they're like, oh, I don't feel good about this. That's when their, embarrassment or something kicked in where they're like, oh, I don't like this. And then like shit hit the fan with the legal system. And then they ended up getting in trouble. And it was funny because in that whole situation, the way that Patrice explained it, the judge even recognized that they had not done anything wrong, and that in their case, as the defendants, they were innocent and that they had not caused harm, and it was all consensual.
Yeah.
But he got them on, I think, a statutory charge where like someone was 17 and someone was 16. And he said, this was the judge's reasoning. This is so ridiculous. This is pure poppycock. It's February, the month of Valentine's Day, the month where we're supposed to recognize love, and I'm going to just make an example of you, and you can spend your summer, thinking about what's really important. Is that really how the judicial system should be run? What the fuck?
Oh my gosh. Oh my God. There's no words, really. There's no words. And regarding this black guy, this guy from Ivory Coast, he spent months in jail pending trial. And then, in the end, they find out that she was lying. She was inconsistent with her story. And his story was consistent. And he was, but his life is ruined. His life was ruined. He was never able to come back to, he packed. And, I was disappointed on all ends, to be honest. I was disappointed by the court system. I was disappointed that somebody can just, yell rape and then anybody can just go to jail and they can just come, without any evidence at all. And then, what's the repercussion for this woman? What is the repercussion for this woman for having lied and ruining a life? That's my question.
I think that it should be just as bad as rape. And then, I think that men have, I'm also quoting Patrice right now, men have the power to rape women. Okay, that's their upper hand. They usually are stronger and can physically overcome a woman and rape us if they really want to. If they really, try, it can be done. I'm not saying that some women can't defend themselves. But then with that being said, men can rape women, but also women can say they got raped. So that's like the opposite, socially engineered, retarded, evil response is that while men can rape, women can say they got raped. And let me add in another. I mean, I have countless of these, but I'll just shout out to my friend also who his wife cheated on him, and he found out because he looked at her phone. And he wasn't even like suspecting anything. He saw it, grabbed it, and then threw the phone out at the wall in anger. Okay, so he had an emotional reaction, which wasn't to hit her, but he threw her phone at the wall. And she called the police, and he ended up getting arrested for domestic violence, which affected his custody of his child. So, I mean, this is so deep and so messed up. And I would state for the record that this whole meme on the internet with the Me Too movement where it's like, believe her. No, don't just believe people. Don't believe anyone. Look at the evidence and hold everyone accountable. Unfortunately, we just proved right here that people lie. It's a thing. People are liars, and they have reasons for screwing each other over, for petty reasons, to protect themselves in some way. People just do it. So you can't just randomly believe anyone. You always have to look at the evidence. Always. Is that crazy?
I mean, for me, it was just my first real encounter. Oh yeah. I mean, everybody has to be accountable for sure. Like, if you lie about that shit, then you got to be accountable. If people do rape you, obviously we need to go catch those people and make them accountable. I'm all about making things accountable. People have to answer for their words and deeds. No problem. But that was my first real situation with this, like, and I was like really into it, like, because none of the black friends, so-called black friends, we're all partying with each other, playing soccer with each other, and then and then once this happened, they disappeared. They never even went to say hi to him. And then even his things, they're like, we're not touching his things, and I packed up all his stuff, took it home during like Thanksgiving, so it was like safe with me, and then brought it back. And I mean, I was just disappointed with people in general. And I just thought at that time, like, this is what humanity is. And I understand the women's situation. Like, the woman, I feel like if I had to understand the backstory, she thought it was like she had a boyfriend, serious boyfriend or whatever. Maybe they had a fight, and then she saw an opportunity, and then she did what she did. She comes home and tells him about it, and she gets beaten up by him, calls the police. The police come, right? And, like, what's the next step? You got to arrest the boyfriend, take him to jail, make him accountable. But she didn't want to go that far.
Wow. It is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I do want to take calls with you. I don't know if we
do it.
are covering everything that you wanted to talk about, but...
No, it's okay. Like basically, like, racism and all this kind of stuff is very subtle in some ways. Sometimes it's very overt, and unless, like, you had a personal experience with the experience that just you have explained. I've had personal experiences that I've had, and that doesn't mean to say that other people don't have their experiences. We all have our experiences, but I've seen what I've seen, and I know what people are capable of, and that's why I'm guarded the way I am.
Absolutely. And I think it has a lot to do with intent too. You got to try to understand where people are coming from. I understand when feelings are hurt, you need to explore that and recognize it and not discount it. Look, I'm feeling these emotions for a reason, and people deserve respect and acknowledgement and why they're feeling hurt. And on the other hand, it's so good to come together and try to work this stuff out. Like, I mean, here's another example. I was dating a guy, and a close family member unfortunately did have I don't really want to go into the details, but she had an experience that then made her racist. And so she was mad at me for dating that person. And it broke my heart because, I mean, on a logical note, it's like, okay, I understand that something bad happened to you, but that is not a reason to hold it up against an entire group of people that look a certain way, that remind you of that bad experience. So, I mean, it's just, then also I remember I had a friend get mad at me when I was 13 years old because I said black, and she corrected me and she said you're supposed to say African American. And at the time I thought, wait a second, I've been saying Black for 2 years. Was she offended this whole time? I was so embarrassed. I thought that and then there are other people after that would prefer to say Black because maybe they don't consider themselves African American. It's just so complicated. Right. This is so important, Nachiketa, the race idea and the women idea, all of these divisive topics that people are afraid to talk about. If that's what we can set the stage for, I don't want to leave the topic. I'm just saying, let's invite people to call in and discuss that if they have anything to say. Okay, cool.
I just want to add one more thing though, if you don't mind. Okay.
Yes.
Just one more thing, which is that I've also observed from the minorities, because I also hung out with the minorities, and there were a lot of people who claimed victimhood, just the same as this woman calling out rape. The word like racism, he's a racist, and that person's a racist, and it's like something that I saw, and was like, no, that guy was just being a dick. Or that guy was just stating his point. That just because he or she says something that's in disagreement with you, that doesn't make them a racist either. So there's a lot of bullshit going on from both sides. If there are only two sides, they're not. There are multiple sides. And the thing is, the real bottom line of that is that the way the human mind works and how it decides to try to take advantage of certain situation, and they can use gender or race or whatever the situation just to be right. And that's another thing to be aware of.
Right. Yeah. I've been caught off guard with people erroneously accusing me of being insensitive or whatever for laughing at a meme. And I didn't have the courage to respond at all. And I'm trying to figure out on an ongoing basis, I'm trying to use my discernment and really look into my heart and figure out, okay, is this something that I need to look at? Did I really make a mistake? I'm willing to admit I made a mistake, and I certainly don't want to hurt anyone. That is never my intent. Or is this person totally missing the mark? Am I allowed to say that this person is missing the mark? Because they're really expressing their feelings. So I want to figure out a good way to acknowledge someone's feelings, but still be able to defend myself as a person who is just trying to be a good person and do the right thing, and then let's get down to the bottom of the mistakes I'm making. Now, before we turn on the calls, I have a really great Patrice O'Neill clip here. I promise it'll be worth it. Let's just end this portion of our one-on-one talk with a little bit of humor mixed with some truth.
Like, white women make me real nervous. White women make me nervous as hell. Not right now because it's witnesses, but I'm talking about like at night when they by themselves, you know what I mean? Walking towards me. She could be nervous too. I'm a big dude. Like, oh Jesus, big black guy is walking towards me. Hope he doesn't grab, getting that fantasy going. Hope he doesn't grab me with his big black arms and throw me in a trunk. And I'm thinking the same thing, like, oh Jesus, I hope nobody kills this white woman because I'm gonna get blamed for it. That's why I do a lot of stuff to protect myself, man. I keep my receipts. I collect receipts because that's a trail of where you've been, man. Everywhere I go, I get a receipt. I don't care, and I never go more than a half hour without buying something because you can kill somebody in a half hour and then you need an alibi. So every 15 minutes I buy something, stick of gum. Can I get my receipt for that, please? We don't have receipts for gum, my friend. Well, you're gonna have to, we don't have receipts. Well, look, you don't have to write me one or something. I gotta have the receipts. We don't have receipt. And then, if it's like that, I'll end up arguing with him just to, so he remembers me, you know what I mean? Give me my damn receipt, pussy. Whoa, what? You heard me, punk? Let's see. Kiss my ass. Yeah, kiss my ass too. What time is it? 5:15. You were in here messing with me at 5:15. You wasn't out killing someone because you're in here with me. That's why I don't litter. I don't throw garbage in the street. Not because I care about the earth, but I'm afraid I'm going to be walking through the park drinking a soda. When I'm done, I just throw it on my shoulder, fly over a bush, and land on some dead white woman's head with my fingerprints on the can. Now I'm the Pepsi Cola rapist because I'm lazy.
All right. There's a little bit of Patrice, a little bit of sunshine. What'd you think of that, Nach?
Great. I don't know. I actually, it was coming in and out a little bit though too for me, but yeah, I don't know. I cannot really.
The point is that he was always getting receipts.
Yeah,
he's getting receipts so that he can make sure that there's like a timestamp of where he was, so that for killing someone.
Right. That's right. Yeah, that I remember this one. Yeah.
And he's like,
what? He doesn't need to worry about that. We have smartphones now. It tells you exactly where you are all the time, and it will record where you're going and everything, what you did, what you buy, which site you went to. It's all recorded there, right? So don't worry about it.
Well, interesting thing that you should bring that up, because it has been that way for quite a while and still people are being wrongly convicted for random stuff. So while, of course, the contact tracing for the COVID hoax is probably going to work just fine and dandy and everyone's going to know exactly who they were in touch with, for some reason, they can't seem to innocent people are going to jail all the time for crimes they didn't commit. So it's a shame. But anyway, I love how he's just like, I don't litter, not because I care about the earth, but because I don't want a Pepsi Cola can to fall on a dead body and then me be the Pepsi Cola killer. Because the reason why it's funny and it's sad because he has such a great point. I mean, it's just so true. And he's just trying to make light of it. And people's laughter is a way of us recognizing that there's truth to it. And that's why I love comedy.
Yeah. And it's a fine line. It's definitely a fine line. And some people have, like a talent for it, like Patrice. And some people don't, like myself. I'm not very good at these type of jokes personally. If I were to try to come up with a racial joke, I'd probably just sound mean and stupid.
Me too. I have certainly made really unfunny jokes that I thought were hilarious to me. There's a great, beautiful thing that comedians do, and wannabe comedians like me, we don't get this right. Just because you think that you're explaining it doesn't mean that people can read your mind. Like, make sure that you explain it, everything that's in your head in a meaningful way. Try to circle it back to some relevant thing. We should analyze comedy sometime, Nachiketa. I could pick like a couple clips and so I'll pick some bad clips too, and we can try to determine why was that so unfunny and why was this so funny.
Yes. That sounds fine with me. I enjoy hanging out with you and talking about stuff because it's a lot of fun to analyze stuff and see what the point is. Yeah.
I have the phones open right now and I'm no longer looking at the comments because I just want to make sure that I catch any call that comes in. In the past, I accidentally missed calls while waiting. And while we're waiting, I just wanted to remind everyone that Nachiketa did a great interview on Rogue Ways with Lindsay Sharman. I caught that interview, and Lindsay has an excellent channel. And so if anybody in the chat wouldn't mind grabbing, because like I said, I'm staring at the tab right now, because I just know someone will call if I go to grab the link. So check out that interview with Nachiketa and Lindsay. It's a great channel on Rogue Ways.
Oh man, yeah, she was fantastic. I really enjoyed speaking to her. We spoke for a couple hours too. I just flew by. It was just crazy, and she had really, really engaging questions, and we just kind of touched upon all sorts of topics though too. So I hope that she invites me back, and we can have another great conversation if she's listening.
Yeah, I really look up to her as an interviewer and a great listener. And also, she was episode 175 of Crow 777 Radio.
Oh, no way. Oh, that's all awesome.
If you
For
want to
what?
learn a little more about her, listen to that episode, Nach, because she talks about her experience as
Okay,
an educator
175.
and her time in China,
Hmm.
and actually
Okay.
multiple countries teaching.
In
I
China?
think we have a really crappy delay again. Do you want to leave and come back one more time just for the calls
Oh.
that we're going to take?
Uh, okay. Yes.
All right, sorry about that. I'm just doing it for the greater good. All right, somebody call in 985 401 1195. That's 985 401 1195. Go ahead and call in. Let's, talk about anything. It's a free for all, although we were talking about comedy and race and women and people who are, socially engineered into acting like fools. I'm down to talk about anything. I want to hear how you're doing, what's on your mind. And so let's see if Nachiketa came back really quick. All right, we have Nachiketa back, and I'm still looking at the phones. So nobody's calling in yet, Nach.
Nobody's calling, huh?
So what's else?
Maybe
What
people
else?
are a little bit gun shy because we're talking about race.
Right. So I'm just saying for
What's
the
that?
record, you can call and talk about whatever you want.
Yeah, like another interesting thing for me, experiencing this, being a different person, growing up in America, is that some people kind of feel like you're like a token, like, oh, like, and they would always introduce, they might introduce you as, oh, somebody got a call, okay, but
Yep.
you got the story.
We'll talk about being a token in a moment. All right, caller. Thanks for reaching us at the Rose 777 channel. This is me, Rose, and Nachiketa. Who is this?
How you doing? This is Where's the Curve? I don't know if you know. I don't know if you seen me in the chat before, probably.
Of course I have. What's up?
No.
Where's the Curve? I totally recognize you. I think the first time I saw you was in Brian Stavely's chat. Is that how you found me?
Yeah.
Sweet. So what's on your mind?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk about something important actually. I just want to bring it up because I want to learn more myself. They're talking about like food shortages and things like that, and I don't know. I'm just thinking like if we keep having food shortages like this, a lot of people are gonna go hungry, like even worse than what it is already. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is such an interesting topic. I don't know if Nachiketa has an opinion on this. I certainly have thought about this a lot. There are a lot of videos that were released all around the same time period, which I think is suspect, noticing that I haven't seen anything recently, where people are talking about different lines of food, the food chain being disrupted, and then people coming up with all this, I want to say, fearful talk about the implications of that. Now, obviously, I understand why they would want to do food shortages, because that's going to ramp up everyone emotionally and put them in a state of being defensive and desperation, that they want to. I think this is a huge experiment right now. They want to see, are people going to freaking kill each other? How far will people go? Are we going to see cannibalism? I mean, it's crazy. At this point, nothing would surprise me. I'm so disappointed in humanity right now, and I just really need people to rise up and be humans. Now, I generally like to go away from the fear porn and look at the positive. Now, let's say that there really is some kind of food shortage, then it would be amazing to see everyone rise up in their communities and help each other. And maybe the positive outcome would be that everybody's eating healthier, locally sourced, healthy foods. I mean, but it's a very serious topic, and I have no idea where they are going with this. Another thought that came to mind is, why would they stop the food shortages? Because it's in line with eugenics for us to keep eating their shitty food. It's good for them, for people to be eating those hormone-packed cow meat and bacteria pus-filled milk and all this packaged chemicals that your grandmother couldn't pronounce in your food. So it doesn't seem to go along with their plan to stop the poison from reaching us. But maybe they just want to test out and see if people will, how crazy people will get. What do you think, Nachiketa?
Yeah, it could be a very real situation for sure. And food has always been used in the past to control the populace. Why have we gotten into this situation? Well, think about the kind of lives that most of the people in America are living. You know, where do they get their food? They don't go out and pick their food or have a garden or anything. They go to their grocery stores and they go to their Sam's Clubs or a Costco or wherever, Walmart, and that's where they go buy their food. And where do they get their food? Where do Walmart get their food? Where do anybody else get their food? They get it all shipped from all around the world using the fake dollars that they have. And so it's a long process of shipping stuff over and trucking them over to various grocery stores and warehouses and all this stuff. And in order to make a better profit, you got to make that margin tighter and tighter. You got to make those schedules tighter and tighter. And if any one of those things get disrupted, then you're going to have some problems. If many of those things get disrupted, you're going to have some big problems. Now, are we going to get to that point where we're going to turn into cannibals like the road, where people are eating each other? I don't think so. But I'm not going to throw that out the window, but we'll deal with that when we cross that bridge. What we have to think about now is that, hey, we became so dependent on this system, and now we cannot really depend on it anymore. What to do? You better start growing stuff. You better, get together and start thinking about, getting some heirloom seeds and growing potatoes, tomatoes, whatever you can. Make your own garden and, work together to make a garden. That's what I would think would be the next logical thing to think about, right?
Yeah, I agree, Nachiketa. My heart goes out to the people that are in big cities. But you know what? Even on a small patio or indoor, aerogarden.com, let me go ahead and put that. This is such an amazing investment to grow indoors. I have 5 of these. I have the really big one, and then I also have a bunch of small ones of different sizes. Check out this website, aerogarden.com, and it's kind of indoor gardening for dummies. It's the lights that's attached to a base, and the base you fill up with water, and there are holes, and then it comes with these little pods that have sphagnum moss with the seed already in it. You stick it in the holes, fill up the water. It comes with the fertilizer liquid that you add. And if you want, you can get the nice ones that remind you when to add the water and remind you when it's time to add the food. And the basil, the parsley, the cilantro, the dill, all of these herbs. If you could just get those herbs into your system and then do your best and maybe go to the farmer's market or work around with others. Hey, let's say you get a group of 10 people and you all have aero gardens and you each grow something different and then share. It's good to have diversity. So please check out that website and consider making that investment, if not just to observe the beauty of how beautiful it is to see things grow and start from a seed. And as soon as you see it come up like basil, I promise you, it will start growing in 4 days. I don't care how much you think that you can't garden. With an aero garden, that basil's going to come up in 3 to 4 days. And it's just so fragrant and wonderful. And you know that there's no chemtrails or poisons or bad intentions going into it. I think these things make a difference. But anyway, where's the curve? We've been rambling. What would you have to add?
Well, I just want to say, I agree. And I think, overall, the whole food shortage thing right now, it's just, fear. That's mostly what it is. But people should start thinking about that and start growing their own fruits and vegetables. I'm trying to think about it, but I live in the city, so it's hard for me. But yeah, I didn't mean to change the topic too much, but that's just something that I wanted to get out there. Also, one more thing,
Yeah.
the chemtrails, I just want to get on that. Because, I feel like the chemtrails has a lot to do with the so-called coronavirus for some reason. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but just being paranoid. But I feel like they're spraying chemtrails so much all the time for all these years. It has to have some effect on us, especially our respiratory system, right? Our breathing. And that's what they're saying the corona is your lungs. So,
Yes.
I don't know.
Absolutely. I think it's all connected. I think this is a full-fledged attack from every direction you can imagine. Especially the air that we breathe is a huge part of our health. And we know that there are metal particulates like barium, strontium, and aluminum in these chemtrails, as we've proven by testing soil. And then you see articles like when I was living in Van Nuys, they openly admitted that they were going to be spraying lithium over everybody. What the heck is the point of that? Now, these heavy metals are such massive toxins in our body. Not only are they going to cause things like Alzheimer's and dementia in the future, but just having this buildup of toxins in our body affects our ability to fight off these environmental factors that cause the symptoms associated with diseases like what they're calling COVID. It's insane. Nachiketa, anything you want to add to Where the Curves remarks before we let him go and see if someone else wants to call in?
Oh no, I mean these are genuine concerns, and chemtrails obviously has been going on since like the 90s. And I'm not saying that it's not a part of this whole COVID stuff going on, but obviously there's 5G towers that we have to worry about, and how they all work together. I think they do work together somehow, but I don't know exactly how. So we should be worried about that, and it's good. Sometimes I think fear is a good motivator. People should, I'm not saying we should be in fear. We should not live in fear, but like, it reminds us of the things that we hold value. We think being independent is valuable. And when somebody is trying to take that right or freedom away from you, that's kind of a fear, but we do something about it. We can't just sit there and live in fear. You got to do something about that fear, is kind of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think it's so true. And so I'm going to lean towards it's all fear porn for the reasons that I described. But with that being said, this is yet another opportunity to remind ourselves that we are the ones that we've been waiting for. There is no savior that's going to come and get us out of this mess in this physical reality. They are going to continue to try. So let's use this as an opportunity to I am going to take care of myself. So whether or not this is a real thing that's coming down the pike to destroy us through this food shortage, let's use this opportunity to be like, hey, this is a great time to start growing my own food regardless, because I don't want to be a slave that's just eating their poison. I'm going to say a big screw you to the system by eating my own greens and my own herbs, and also helping to nourish the people around me. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to inject my love into these herbs, and I'm going to offer them to the people around me, because it's not just about me, it's about us. It's about us working together to get through this madness. We are going to have to get along with the people around us. So where's the curve? Any last words before I go to the next caller?
No, I appreciate everything from you and everybody else in the truth community. You guys are the best, and that's it. I hope everyone keeps listening and wakes up, pretty much.
Thank you so much, Jude. I fucking love you. You're the best. I'm so glad that we met, and then happy to hear your voice finally, put a voice to the name. And so I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Right.
Yeah, man. Yeah, thanks for the call, man.
In the chat. Yeah, you won't see me in the chat as Where's the Curve, because I have to get a whole new YouTube and profile, because I got a new phone and everything. So, but I have a new my name now is How Did We Get Here? That's my name. That's my YouTube now.
Oh, okay.
Which I might change again, but yeah.
Okay, cool.
I was trying not to say it, but what the hell? I just let it out.
Awesome. All right.
Right on. All right. Have a great day, my friend. All right. That was a great call. Thank you so much again. I'm going to go ahead and put the phones back on. And let's put that. Putting on the phones means reminding you what the number is. I don't know how to turn the phones on and off other than having the tab open. So phones are quote unquote on.
Open the faucet, the phone faucet, Rose. Open the phone faucet, make that phone call flow.
Yeah, let's get another caller up in here. 985-401-1195. I am now looking at my tab so that I don't miss a call. All right. Nachiketa, you want to shout out to the chat since I can't see it at the moment?
Oh, sure. Let me just get out of here quick, and then I have to go on over to YouTube, and let's see who's all in there. We got 32 people. We got Rachel, New York, Truth here. How did we get here? That's who just called. Loose Screw Chops. Hello, Kevlar. PG2424, hello, Paige. Israel Adams, howdy. Sue Finale, happy birthday. G Cash, Kelly Fe. Who else is over here? Moving along, moving along. We got Ghana Ball, Red Pill Paul, Jay Zima, howdy. Let's see. Oh, that's all I see so far, actually. So,
Cool. I love all
yeah,
those names. It's really awesome that everyone's
yep,
here hanging out with us right now, and I hope so.
yep.
Rachel, if you don't mind calling in, I'd love it if you'd call. Not my cell phone. I think last time you called me on my cell phone. Call me at the number on the screen, and I held it up to my mic. That was so funny. I love Rachel so much. She's awesome. And then Sue Finelli. We
Yeah,
never figured
there's
out
so
why
many
it
great
says
people.
Finelli. I mean, it says his Finelli today for some reason. All right, here's a call.
Oh,
All right, hello. This is Rosa Nachiketa. With whom are we speaking with? Ooh, you're very low. Is there any chance you can make your voice louder?
Yeah, I can take you off speaker. For some reason, my phone does not work well on speaker. So,
Well, now you
Is
sound
that
fabulous.
better?
Who is this?
what's that?
Who is this?
This is Pam. So I'm one of your
Hey.
Facebook friends, and I met you through James, and I've not been involved in your podcast or anything, but I was just scrolling through Facebook and heard the audio from your podcast and have been listening for a while and just kind of wanted to chime in. I tuned in right when you were talking about some trauma that you had experienced and you had said that if anyone has, insight for getting through that, and I just kind of wanted to talk about that. I've been through a lot of shit in my own life too.
Well, sweet. Thank you so much for calling. And by the way, I'm so happy to finally talk to you because I've talked to James on the phone, but I never talked to you on the phone. I love that we are connected. I definitely feel that you are a kindred spirit. And I'm so happy that you called in, especially on this topic, because I mean, gosh, it's crazy. And you're putting yourself out there right now to share. So go for it. I'm all ears.
Yeah. And it is crazy. And, I missed the first part of the podcast. And so, I didn't catch until later that you guys were talking about racism and whatnot. And so this isn't really along the lines of that, but it's just more along the line. We go through shit in life, and it's like the old adage that if harm me once, shame on you; harm me twice, shame on me.
Right.
But,
and so I don't want to let it happen again. I'm always thinking, how do I prevent this from happening again? How can I be 10 steps ahead and just protect myself? And I just always thought, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is this is the proper way to respond. And then you get to the illogical physical responses that involve hyperventilating and crying and just having unreasonable expectations.
Exactly. And so it's not helping you. You're not protecting yourself. It's actually harming you. Someone hurts us once and they're done. They probably don't even fucking think about us again, and they've hurt us, they've moved on, but we hold on to that. And so, we take that memory and we beat ourselves up with it over and over and over again. And so, it's like when we're hurt, we're not being hurt just once. We do it to ourselves over and over and over again, following it. And the key that I found is, and I know this sounds crazy. This sounds really crazy because it doesn't even, when I first heard this, like, I'm supposed to forgive this person. I'm like, fuck you. What they did is not okay. But you know what? Forgiveness is key. And if I don't let that shit go, And also forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean that I'm saying what happened is okay. And it's just kind of accepting that it happened and then moving on and letting it go and saying, I'm not going to let this hurt me anymore. I'm done with this.
Yeah.
My what's that?
No, I just agree with you. I think it's very important to be able to move on from all situations. I've been hurt a lot in my life, and well, we have to
Yeah,
be able to we forgive for ourselves, actually. That's one thing I feel like I've realized is
exactly.
that I'm not, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not for the other person at all, and hell, they don't even need to know. We
Right,
don't even have to like physically go and say, "Hey, I forgive you." It's
right.
it's more of an internal thing. And I
Yeah,
learned that
absolutely.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not a religious person, but I do believe that there's something. I call it God just because that's easier,
Yes.
and I pray
Yep.
and I listen, and so I learned this little tool. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I was involved in AA for a
Mm-hmm.
number of years. I'm no longer
Mm-hmm.
involved in AA, but they really taught
Mm-hmm.
me a lot of shit, a lot of really
Mm-hmm.
good stuff, and one of the tools that I learned was it's called the 2 week prayer, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's really hard. So like my sister did dope when she was pregnant with um, her children, and her youngest, she died when her youngest was 9 months old, and I adopted him. I've
Mm-hmm.
had him since he was 3 weeks old, and I was pissed because
Mm-hmm.
she fucked up my kid. And
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, I did the 2 week prayer for her, but it ended up being much longer than 2 weeks. But it started out with, I couldn't even say her name. I said, I said, God bless that bitch, and
Yes.
and so the guidance is to pray for them for everything that you would want for yourself, for
Mm-hmm.
love
Mm-hmm.
and happiness and contentment, and
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I did, even though she was gone, and the release is unbelievable. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
now I can look at her like, well, she was sick,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
not walk around with that hate anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so powerful. I completely agree with that. And I actually spent lots of time in 12-step programs. Primarily, I was forced to go to Narcotics Anonymous when I was in a halfway house in Missoula, Montana, after being told I wasn't ready to go back to my own environment in Santa Barbara after I was in a boot camp for bad girls in Utah. And it was actually really
That's
fun.
where I am. You
for
know
me.
that, Rose, right?
You're in Missoula?
I'm in Utah. You know that, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, that is right. And Utah is so gorgeous. It's so funny because I didn't take it as a punishment going there at all. And I was surprised when they called me an addict because I was only 17 and I had only been doing the drug that I got in trouble for 3 months. But it was good that my parents, caught it early. But so there was a lot of aspects of that I felt were pure indoctrination, did not serve me, gave me some bad habits in my thinking. But then I also learned a lot of great stuff, and I liked following the 12 steps. I thought I liked just being. I always wanted to be a straight A student in high school, and then after high school, I was just like, all right, now I'm going to win AA. I've got to get my year chip. It was just. I was recognizing a lot of the brainwashing culty stuff of the 12 steps where everyone's repeating the phrases and just kind of there's so much conformity. So what I liked for me as an individual and where I'm at right now is that I took the meat, threw away the bones. I used my discernment. I loved the opportunity to help other people and be in a social environment where everyone was trying to be a good person and do the right thing. And there was a format for how we communicated. There was organized stuff. But then you could also look at it, it was kind of like a temporary crutch before I found
Yes.
the power to integrate myself into the real life that I wanted to lead. And for people that still stay in the program consistently all the time, I think that's awesome. That is awesome. It just wasn't for me to dedicate that amount of energy to the program itself. It just wasn't my thing. Now, if I started doing another drug, like if I got back on Xanax and Ambien and was destroying my life and my relationships and everything fell apart, that's probably where I would go back. That's the first place I would go. I'd be like, holy crap, I'm screwed up. I'm back in the situation again. I guess I didn't, and this is a common thing, I didn't figure it out. I couldn't do it on my own. That would be the cliche that I would go back into the rooms with. I'd be like, haha, tried to do it on my own and it didn't work. But everyone has their own way of being supported. And Nachiketa, you've talked about on the air a bunch of times about how you used to drink a lot. Do you have an opinion on the 12-step program?
Me? Oh, yes. Actually, I do. Very much so. Oh, were you talking to? I'm sorry, I didn't. I'm having trouble hearing, so I chimed in when I was not supposed to. I apologize.
Oh, no worries, no worries. I mean, I didn't know if Nachiketa.
Oh, no, it's okay. No, it's all right. If you
please, I'd love to hear it too.
Oh, well, like I don't do drugs. I mean, I can't really say that, but like I cook weed sometimes and eat that, and but that's every once in a while. But like as far as like regular consumption of smoking or drinking alcohol, I don't do that at all. I used to own a bar when I was younger, in like 25, 26, and I used to drink a lot, like for like a year straight. I have a very like how would I say intense personality where I like any kind of drugs I would get attached to quite quick. I've done everything. I've done like not everything, but a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of hard stuff. I've tried heroin, coke, LSD. I don't know, Special K. I mean, do I need to list all of them? There's a lot, But anyway, I have some experience, but I just don't have any interest anymore because I feel like we need to cultivate some discipline, and I really needed to cultivate some discipline within myself about my diet and the way my life lives, the way I'm living my life, and meditating or praying, whatever that it is that you want to name it, and connecting to that source or creator or God. It doesn't matter. None of the names going to really apply to the Father up in the heaven, and just being able to connect to that is a main thing that we're all here to do. And I feel like once I really clearly understood that that was my life purpose, that everything else started to drop around me, and more easily too.
Yeah, but Nachiketa, I was mostly wondering if you had an opinion on things like 12-step programs for alcoholics. Do they?
Sorry.
I'm sure they have AA meetings in Korea.
Yes.
When you were a bar owner, did you see a lot of alcoholism and people that you kind of didn't want to give alcohol to anymore? What? Tell me about that a little bit.
Oh, well, I agree with the 12. My sister, I went to an AA meeting with my sister, and so I had a glimpse of what that was about. And I think it's great. It's great to have that kind of environment for people who is in need, because we're not so strong. That's the truth. And so we need groups like that who can stand firm for each other and remind each other what they need to do. And once they overcome their, affliction, then they can just kind of live their own life. And maybe it's okay to have a beer or two here and there if you can handle it. But that's, only the individual can know whether or not they can handle that stuff. So I agree that we should have those.
They're human beings and be individuals. But according to the program, according to AA, they would disagree with you there. They would say, no, you can't do it on your own. No, you can't ever have one beer ever again. And maybe that is true for some people, and it's really up to people to recognize whether they are one of those people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I understand why they need to be strict, and they should be. I mean, that's for them, and they have to maintain that strictness. They can't just say, oh, it's okay. You're going to have, then you're just leaving the door open, and it's too much temptation. So I understand their stance. But what I'm saying as an individual, that if you believe yourself to be able to handle it, then you go ahead and do what you think you need to do. I mean, in the end, nobody can tell you what to do. Only you know for yourself what is right for you.
Yeah. And I also think that if you don't truly believe that what you're doing is right, like if you haven't been genuinely convinced that there's a good reason for following these guidelines and these, well, as they say, suggestions, then it's not going to work and it's not going to be self-sustainable. So everyone needs to try to be genuine and authentically looking into their heart and do what they think is right and not just conform because people are telling you to, but because you actually find value in it and it's helpful. Because I think it's really all about finding that balance and how am I going to sustain my lifestyle. So for someone that is over and over and over again, hurting people and hurting themselves and it's just not working. At some point, if I was in that position, I'd be like, you know what, I really need to keep up at this and not ever have one drink. At this point, because of my surgeries on my stomach, I couldn't be an alcoholic if I tried. I can't finish one drink because I'll throw up. So yeah, I'll go do karaoke and I'll order a drink. And who knows, maybe if I was physically able to binge drink, I could be an alcoholic. But yeah, I know I definitely have that personality that loves to chase a good feeling. I have such rapid thinking constantly that if I notice for a moment, oh my goodness, this chemical has made me feel better than I did 5 seconds ago, I will want to feel that more and more and more and more and more. And just try to push that limit and see how good can I feel. And on a logical level, I'm noticing how crazy that is and how detrimental to health it is and all the wrong things about that. But I'm not going to deny that that is my natural inclination, because if I ignore that, then it's probably setting myself up for failure in the future. But anyway, Pam, let me give you the last word before I let you go and try to take another call.
All righty. Well, I would just like to chime in though that, you know, in the front, well, first of all, I'm not involved in AA any longer. I'm sorry, my dogs are playing with bottles in the background. Anyway, I'm not involved in AA any longer. I can't see things as just black and white, and there's a lot of black and white there. And
agreed.
There, and you know, there's this book. What is it called? It's the User's Experience or User's Guide to the Human Experience. I can't even remember the author's name right now. But anyway, like his take on alcoholism and life is just, I don't know, it coincides exactly with my thinking. But I do want to state though that, you know, AA did help me when I needed it. I'm going on 12 years sober. And I could not have done it without AA. I in the front of the big book, there's what's called the doctor's opinion, and it poses the thought that perhaps alcoholism is an allergy, and I wonder if that's the case for me, because I'm okay with everything else. I mean, I've done every single drug there is too, and like I went on a 3-year meth binge and hated who I was. I took what I had and I flushed it down the toilet and I never went back. And, you know, it's been like 20 years. And so, well, longer anyway, but with alcohol, I can't. I get a drink in me and my brain says more. And it's not something that I can control. And so, you know, I think there are variances and differences, and I don't think everyone is like that. I really think that maybe it is some sort of reaction to alcohol within some of us.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Well, I mean, we're all different.
Nachiketa, I want you to respond to that, but Pam, thank you so much for calling. And since it always takes a couple moments for people to call in, I'm going to let you go now and then let Nachiketa go. Thank you so much for calling. And it's so great to meet you on the phone. And I hope you have a wonderful day.
You too.
All
we
right.
gotta
Bye,
go
Pam.
Maiden together, girlfriend.
Thank you very much for the call.
Maiden when they're back to touring. Yes.
Yes.
All right. Up the irons, my friend. All right, that was awesome. Yeah, I'm so glad that she reminded me that she's also into Maiden, my favorite band. But Nachiketa, go ahead.
No, and I just wanted to Pam for sharing her story and calling in. And I know it takes a lot of guts to call and share your story. And I just wanted to add that we're all very different. And some people, they get easily addicted to stuff, and other people, they don't. And it does, what matters is that you just understand yourself. That's all we have to understand. That what is it happening with you? You cannot handle a beer, then don't drink it. Find a group of people who will help you not be able to drink that beer if you go out of control. If you can have 10 beer, that's up to you. 10 beers and you have no problem and functioning and everything. I mean, we're all very different. It's just about being aware of who you are and what these substances can do to you and how they affect you. And just don't let just we depend on so many things already, like breathing. I like to breathe. Am I addicted to air? I like to eat food. Am I addicted to food? I mean, we are addicted to these things. You can say we depend on them, and there are already enough things that we depend on in this world. We don't need to add more.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Absolutely. I like the idea of calling alcoholism an allergy. I wonder if we were talking to any natural healers that I know right now, if they would, what they would say to this idea, or maybe I heard this idea from them and I just don't remember, but maybe there's a nutritional deficiency associated. And if only people knew, oh, all I have to do is eat, 2 tablespoons of dried cilantro and 3 twigs of basil grown in the hills of Colombia, mixed with a teaspoon of vitamin C and a half of magnesium, that my alcoholism will be cured. I just wouldn't be surprised if someone said that was the case, and of course I could be wrong.
Well, did you know that there are actually higher percentage, like I'm not talking about numbers, but higher percentage of alcoholics in East Asia, like I'm talking about China, Japan, Korea. And the reason why that is the East Asians, we cannot digest alcohol the same way as other races can. So what that means is that because they cannot digest alcohol in the same way, just kind of like the same as the Native Americans, they have, I think it's a kind of a stereotype to say that they have a problem with alcohol. And I've known a lot of Native Americans who had alcohol problem. And my father's friend, another professor, he would work in Wisconsin with Native Americans and try to help them with their alcoholism. And so, I think we can agree that there could be something related between genetics and alcoholism. Would you say that
You know what,
is?
Nachiketa? I hope I'm not getting this wrong. I pray I'm not getting this wrong. But I think that Lindsay Sharman of Rogueways also worked on a Native American reservation as well. I mean, her background is pretty incredible. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I want you guys to get to know each other more.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering. So the Asians, they have very high percentage of alcoholism. Like I think what I heard from statistics, like in America, there's like 5% who and below, around 5% who are alcoholics, considered alcoholics. In Korea, I think it's like nearly double that number, like double that percentage. So it's not about the number of people in the country; it's about the percentage. And alcohol is a big part of a culture. Like Japan, you've been to Japan. Have you been to Japan?
No, I haven't.
Alcohol is but alcohol is a big part of like China, Korea, and Japan. Like if you're going to do business deals, you have to go to somewhere and drink alcohol. And people love to drink alcohol. Like when I used to work at a company, they used to take me out all the time, with other co-workers, and we would go maybe every other week. But certain other big companies like Samsung, LG, Kia, those type of places, they go every weekend and they get drunk like 3-4 days a week. It's a big part of their culture.
Oh, yeah. And think about it. In America in the 50s, it was very customary for people to drink in the office and smoke in the office. And it was really part of that culture. And I always wonder when you see them depicted on television, I mean, how do they function? Did they have a huge tolerance, or were they not being honest about how messed up the work that they were doing was? I mean, it's so interesting. And then you take that and then you translate it over to the modern day. And I think to myself, you know what? They totally can function. Being a functional alcoholic at work is so easy these days because you're on robot autopilot mode anyway. And even though people aren't drinking and smoking in the office at, Citrix Online, where I worked for many years, it was so like you had to go to happy hour if you wanted to, socialize with the people that you work with. And it was just understood. But then, so it was normal for people to, smoke bowls in the car at lunch and go to happy hours and everyone gets shit-faced.
Yeah.
But then there were other departments that did different drugs and then had different social things, like the salespeople who made a lot more money. They did go to happy hour, but they also had the golf excursions together. And I was like, ooh, I wonder what kind of drugs they're doing on the golf course. Everybody's on drugs.
Yeah. And obviously those are like overt drugs or whatever, but I mean in America, they push pharmaceutical drugs all the time on people. Big pharma, they're pushing pharmaceutical drugs on people. I mean, it's just about being addicted to stuff, and just we got to get away from all that. We have to have some control. I mean, one of the reasons I felt like I needed to leave Korea is very difficult to hang out with friends and not drink. Like I stopped drinking for a while, for like 6 months, where I would go to bars, hang out with my friends, drink juice and stuff because I was drinking way too much. And then I started drinking again, and I decided to own a bar from like this money that I got from my grandparents, and that was a big mess, I tell you. Getting yourself like a hot, DJ, fiery Korean girlfriend, and owning a bar, you feel like you're on top of the world, and then you're actually not, because there's a lot of problems involved with relationships in general, and alcohol is involved. And think about this, all this like murder, all the crime that you think you can imagine, like vast majority of them have alcohol involved in them. Alcohol and tobacco, I mean, they are big killers. They create big problems in society.
Absolutely. I just think alcohol is the biggest poison. So poisonous. Oh, great timing. We have a call. Oh, I think I know who this is.
Oh.
Hello, this is Rosa Nachiketa. Is this Rasta Bear?
This is Rasta Bear.
Oh my gosh, did you hear me talk about you on... I was talking about you and about your awesome video where you were burning the offensive symbol of oppression that is the mask. And because it's so gross that in Portland, Oregon, it's so disgusting, savage animals are leaving their disgusting masks all over the ground. It's so unsanitary and gross. If Corona was an actual issue, you would definitely have it just walking around there. But you are doing the great service of one, symbolically, spiritually, on that figurative, mental level, taking a stand and saying you do not consent and burning that mask. And at the same time, you are being a good Samaritan and cleaning and sanitizing the area in a good way, not the disgusting spread disinfectant all over and kill all the good bacteria, but burning it and just the blackening. And I did think to myself, what chemicals are being released into the air from the mask? But you know what? I don't even care, because I'd rather that mask be burned and have those little chemicals than have people die of lack of oxygen.
Yeah.
And I'm done with my opening rant, Rastafari. What's actually on your mind at the moment?
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, you did say it.
I just decided, actually, I got the idea from watching Owen Benjamin 2 days ago. They were talking about, the burning of the flags, and somebody in the chat mentioned that we should all start burning the masks. And so I was like, that's a great idea. And so I, took to the streets, and I've started that. I'm probably gonna continue to do it because it wakes people up. I encountered one person that was walking by as I was getting ready to light a mask on fire. And because I have an American flag with the mask when I'm about to light it on fire, so it kind of catches people off guard because they think I'm going to catch the flag on fire.
Exactly.
And the guy walking by, he's like, you know, he was a bit concerned that I was about to light the flag on fire. But then, you know, he had the mask on, and I was like, well, one of these is a symbol of oppression and tyranny and slavery, and the other is supposed to, you know, signify our freedom. Which, I mean, you know, it's questionable that our American flag stands for freedom if we've ever really been free. But, you know, it's the best thing that we have going for us right now. And so, and yeah, he basically, he was wearing a mask on his way to ride the bus. And he said, you know, he agreed that the mask was stupid and he hated that he had to wear it. And so I was like, well, why are you wearing it then? Why don't you just not wear the mask? And, you know, so it kind of lit a light bulb in his mind that, you know, he doesn't have to do everything that he's told just because they're requiring it. And, you know, that being said, though, they're definitely turning up the volume on the whole mask situation here. I don't know about where you're at, but they definitely, because not enough people are complying with it. And so they keep adding new measures where they're like, now all businesses must require the mask unless you have like health issues. It's kind of like what was going on in other states already, like New York. And now they've coined this new term, bareface. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Oh, like BARE, barefaced?
Yeah. Yeah, and so basically anybody who's not wearing a mask, that's their new insult to you, is that you're barefaced.
Hey, bareface. Hey, bareface. What's up, bareface?
Yeah.
Hey, look at that dude. He's barefaced, man.
Wow, it's just such a backwards world. And it just kind of reminds me of how people would ridicule and I would never agree with ridiculing people for wearing a burqa or a face covering, even back before Corona. But I would notice people doing that, especially people that were really into like America and into the whole mainstream narrative and just against Islam because of like the whole terrorism hoax. But now, not only now, I am not offended whatsoever by Muslim face coverings at all, because that's a more logical, consensual, personal choice. I mean, obviously, if someone's doing it involuntarily, that sucks, and I'll put you in the COVID mask category. But if you're choosing to do it for a spiritual reason because you want to, more power to you. Yeah. I support that. I just don't support
that's the distinction.
The stupidity of humanity with this COVID hoax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. What are you going to say, Nachiketa?
No. Go ahead. I was just agreeing with Rose that it's important that we should make the distinction that if it's an individual choice to wear a burqa, that's okay. We're all okay with that. If that person, that lady, that woman is being forced to wear a burqa because she's afraid that somebody's going to beat her up or kill her, that's bullshit. That's all I wanted to say about that.
Yeah, and I can understand why someone would say, well, Rose, if someone's choosing to wear a burqa and you're okay with that, then why aren't you okay with someone choosing to wear a surgical mask while they're running on the street and wear a surgical mask in a restaurant? All right, if that really is your question, I'm sorry, but there's no hope for you. It has settled in like gangrene, and you cannot be reasoned with. These cats are dying. For me to like open this door and let them in, and the one that's in, let out. So I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah, go for it. Go ahead, Rasta. Please chime in.
Yeah, that, you know, the whole situation is just it's out of control, and you know it's a crazy division right now where, you know, like I kind of appreciate it, you know, that, you know, you can kind of see who's awake and who's not, but at the same time, it really is mentally frustrating, especially for someone who isn't buying into all the BS. And being in a major city like Portland here, you know, it is trying on the psyche. You know, just seeing all these people, these mindless zombies, continually. It's beyond frustrating. Yeah, because we've got.
I mean, I can't imagine, because you're constantly having to deal with that. You got to you got to constantly deal with people around you, and people are like zombies. I mean, like for me, I thank God that I am where I am, isolated and away from everybody, and I don't even see people. I haven't seen anybody in 2 days. Actually, I have not seen anyone at all, and I thank God. As like, if I was in a circumstance where people are wearing masks and you're being socially shamed if you're not wearing a mask, it's just so much stress.
Yeah, yeah, it's wild. And then I know, and on
Yeah.
top of it, then we've got this. They're still protesting here every day pretty hard. With these social justice issues, mainly the the BLM movement, and
Yeah.
it's just so wild to see both things happening at once, and they both coincide with one another. And it all goes back to like Dave Weiss was saying yesterday. The flat Earth is the root of all this. Like if people would just wake up to that truth, then they would be able to comprehend everything else. But it's so multi-layered that it's it's really it's a lot to take in if people aren't prepared for it.
It's hard. It's hard for people because there's so many quote unquote truths to wake up to. Mandela effect is a big part. Flat Earth is a big part. I mean, you name it. Like, what about the government and the voting system? That's a fraud. I mean, how many poppycocks are out there? And it's very difficult to get to really be familiarized with any one of them. But once that door becomes, starts to ajar and open, and you have that little a space where you can actually have reason and logic start to flow in and say, hey, wait a minute, they've been deceiving us about everything, and what about these masks? Then they become no question at all.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a crazy time we live in.
Yes.
I do the Uber driving, and so it's definitely they want everybody to wear the mask, doing that, but I still I refuse to do that, which most of my passengers are extremely grateful that I don't wear the mask, honestly.
Nice.
And I've been able to have some great conversations with my passengers about it, where like, oh, thank goodness you don't enforce this, because I've had to wear a mask at work all day. One of my passengers yesterday, she was like, yeah, I never get headaches, but I've started to get migraines at my work because of having to wear the mask. And I've been able to share the video where the guy takes the OSHA air quality monitor and he holds it up to his face and then puts the mask on, and it lowers it instantly from like the 20.5 all the way down to like 17% instantly. And I've shared that honestly with because it's only like a 2-minute video. I've gone up to store managers, people at the front doors of stores that are enforcing the masks, and I've engaged with a lot of them and just tried to get them on board. And I've only had like maybe 2 passengers who are like, can you have a mask that you can put on? And I'm like, no, I don't. But I'm like, we can just cancel the ride if that makes you uncomfortable. And so I've had to cancel the ride. So I'm like, yep, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm sorry, I'm not bending the knee, because that's what I see. Bending
That's
the
awesome.
knee, and they're trying harder and harder to get us to bend the knee.
And so many other Uber drivers will think that they have to do it, and they'll say, oh, well, my job requires me to. But this is a perfect example of you acting like a real human being, taking a stand. And keeping your job and still not falling for the nonsense. I guarantee that if more people did this, then it would make it a lot easier for everyone else. You know, we are the people that are strong. We are the ones that are going to really make a difference. So I really commend you. You are the definition of a true hero.
Well, thank you. You are too. You know, everybody who stands up for what they believe in, especially right now, are the heroes and the warriors on the front line. Because, you know, I'm really disappointed in a great deal of humanity right now that they would just cuck and just, you know, just succumb to the nonsense so quickly. You know, they didn't even hold out for, you know, things to get more drastic before they succumbed to the nonsense. And, you know, it's very powerful when even just one of us stand up against the tyranny, stand up against the nonsense. And, you know, if we all continue to do that, just one person has such a ripple effect in society. And we don't realize how powerful we all are. But we all have such, you know, it's amazing what just one person can do. Because it you know, it reverberates through society. People see that, and then it installs that thought in their head, well, like that guy was doing it, you know, maybe I should do it too. And especially if, you know, we take the time to actually talk to a few people about it.
Yeah, now is the time to find whatever ounce of, if you have any shred of courage in you, or if you want to find out if you're capable of exercising courage, now is the time to test that out. And I just want to give another shout out to Sue Finelli. Happy birthday. Sue found a new friend at the park. She's a woman from India who doesn't watch television, who came to America because she didn't want to conform to the expectations of her family. And she's a nanny who works for a family who does not accept the nonsense. I think that's incredible. I want Sue to be friends with the whole entire family as well. But get this, Rasta and Nachiketa, guess where the family that she works for, guess where they work? Guess who they work for, and they don't accept the mask nonsense?
Who?
Facebook.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
So, I mean, obviously they must be aware that the company that they're working for is censoring truth about masks. And I don't think either of you are on Facebook, are you? But yeah, that's what's going on. You know, they censor good information. No. Yeah, you're not, Nachiketa. So they're censoring true information. They're saying, oh, masks don't cause problems. And so, yeah, I just find that very interesting. You know, it really goes to show that the people who buy into this crap, the people that drool in front of their televisions and believe what's on Facebook, they don't even realize that they're all the people that work for Facebook, all the people that work for Google, and all the people that work for the government and the press. If people have any shred of discernment or two brain cells to rub together, they're not wearing a mask. And they've got to be so brainwashed and in this tunnel vision of virtue signaling nonsense. They have to be so insulated by these lies that they have no clue. Because if these people that I know personally, who I had to block because they're not, I knew that if I spoke my mind, they would block me anyway. So I'm trying to save negative feelings. There was going to be no positive outcome for us interacting because they're so far gone. But you just know that if they had access 3 months before all of the fear set in to the information that we had access to, they would probably be in a better situation and not abusing their kids, putting masks on them. You know, so that's why I just want to be loud and clear and scream from the hilltops and make these statements of non-consent, just like what you're doing, Rasta.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. It's their obligation right now, because we don't want to look back on this a month from now and say we didn't at least try. You know, we didn't at least try to make some type of an impact. You know, like it's our obligation right now, because, you know, we, like, now is the time, because if, you know, tomorrow may not come if we don't stand up for what we believe in.
Yeah.
You know, and to have all this knowledge inside of us and not share it is selfish in a sense. You know, and it does no one any good to share all this knowledge that we gain every day and in our community, and not not spread it in the community in some way. Whether it be make a sign or just talk to one person in your day that wouldn't normally get it, and just try to make a difference.
Yes, 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 yes,
Absolutely.
yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, like we have to stand up, and then we're gonna run out of room. I mean, we keep on backing down, and backing down. I mean, you're gonna start running out of space, and you're gonna corner yourself, and that's exactly where they want you. They want you handcuffed and ankle braced and all injected and all this stuff, and they want you not to have any power to be able to fight back. But we have allowed that situation to occur by consenting, and that's the thing. If we can stand up while we can stand up, sorry for the analogy or the pun, but I mean, if we should stand up while we can stand up, and but later on we won't be able to at all, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Right now, I feel like it's like we're in the Death Star, and we've fallen down the garbage chute, and we're in the garbage compactor. And I can feel the balls moving in, and it's getting claustrophobic because like every day more people consent to more of the nonsense, and it's like our numbers get fewer and fewer. But at the same time, it confirms that this is a spiritual battle that we're fighting. It's beyond flesh and bones. It is a spiritual battle that we're fighting, but it's also a test from our Creator, and that's why I take it with open arms, and it's a blessing that we're even here to experience this, because we're being put through the fire right now to see who's going to come out the other end.
It's a test for sure, and we do not fight with flesh and blood, because we are not only flesh and blood. Obviously, that's a part of our existence. But yeah, I 100% agree with you. We are fighting with ideologies. We're fighting with a concept in a way, and whatever you want to name it. Evil, devil, it does exist. It does have its expression. It does manifest in a real way, right? And so, it is a test, because, hey, God is giving you an opportunity. I'm giving you an opportunity and say, hey, what do you do with it? Oh, you're the one who just sat and did nothing. Oh, you're the one who actually stood up and spoke your mind and, walked the walk. So you'll get your rewards accordingly.
All right, I just want to read what the Soul Duo said here. Yes, I have not put a mask on, and I love standing up for my own life. And people always look so confused when I go into the store. And you know what? I love that you say that, because a lot of people will talk about how they get anger at them. But you know what, honey? I know your spirit, and I'm about to share one of your videos so that people can see it. When you have that kind of positivity and smiling, and by the way, when I'm out in public, I am my happy, normal self, and that is the energy that I put out to people, even though I want to laugh at them. It's really only here with my peers that I'm able to really let loose and explain my thinking and my thoughts. And I want to be super critical and super hard of the people around me, because I love you guys and I care about you. But I mean, when I'm out and about, I'm going to go with the Soul Duo tactic, because I know her spirit, and that the way that she conducts herself is helpful, and the way to do it. I'm going to go ahead and post her channel here in the chat. So the Soul Duo is an awesome company, and it's in the 714 area code of California, which I think is Long Beach. It's a juicing delivery service, and it is so beautiful, because she's basically a rock star team. Rasta, I'm keeping you on with us, even though I'm sorry I changed the subject. Let me remove this overlay here so I can share my screen. Boom, ba-doom, ba-doom. Check out my beautiful friend, and then order her juice if you're in the area, and you're going to fall in love with her right now. Let's do this. How about a 3-minute and 4? It's a team effort here. It's so beautiful. I can't stand it. How are you going to get mad at that for not having a mask on? How are you going to tell that to put a mask on? Literally impossible. Oh no, Minnie, no, Minnie. See, Minnie loves you so much, she's trying to jump on the mic. I love you, Minnie.
Apple juice! Yay! Are you excited? Okay, let's go make it, okay? Yeah! Will you get the apples out?
See how she's making it fun?
Yes, apples, please. Get 4 apples, okay?
This kid's gonna grow up to be a superhero.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's always so wanting to help his mommy
Hey guys,
too.
welcome back to our channel. This is the Soul Duo. You want to look at the cameras there? Well, there we go. That's the kind of day we're having today. Today we are making apple juice with turmeric, ginger, and lemon. With your recipe, make sure you have 4 Granny Smith apples, a little bit of turmeric, a little bit of ginger, and a whole lemon, and maybe a half if you want some more. It makes it so good, and it's so refreshing with the lemon that binds everything together. And Xander is so ready. He's like, Mom, hurry up, stop talking. All right, let's get going. Okay, so now we're gonna put our ginger in, your turmeric, and then your lemons.
Look how gorgeous that is.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you guys love our spin-off of your natural apple juice that you may have at the Whole Food store that you guys go to, or if you make some at home. We really love this because it's not too sugary, but it still has a little tangy taste from your ginger and your turmeric and some of your lemon, and we hope that you guys try this at home and it does you guys wonders. Make sure to share this with us and let us know if your kiddos like this or your family members, and we will see you on the next episode. Thank you guys so much, and we will catch you guys later. Bye.
Isn't that just amazing? Don't you just feel the positive energy in that, guys? Or is it just me? Am I crazy?
No, yeah. But I couldn't see it because I was on the, on the phone, but it sounded positive.
Oh yeah, go back and look, Rasta, and you'll have a smile ear to ear. And I want, okay, Soul Duo, for the record, if I was in Long Beach, I would want all of your exosomes in my body along with the juice. I would hope that you don't wear a mask while you're making my juice, and that you breathe directly into the cold press masticating juicer. That would, maybe you could have a check mark for truthers to be like, yes, breathe on my drink.
Yeah, I've definitely felt that before. And, the smile is such a powerful thing, and to be able to smile real big at people, especially right now when everybody else can't smile at you, is just so powerful. And it's really probably one of the most powerful things. You don't even need to say a word. If you just smile real big at everybody you see, then it has such a massive impact on everyone.
Indeed. All right, Rasta. Well, I'm kind of curious to see if someone else is waiting to call in. But I always love our conversations.
Great talking to you. And
great talking to you.
I'll talk to you all next time. Much love.
Much love. Nachiketa, how are you doing? Are you getting tired? Is it time for you to go to bed? Oh, he's muted. Do you know that you're muted, Nach?
Oh shoot! I did not know I was muted. I was talking the whole time. I was like, yeah. And I just wanted to say thanks for the call, Rasta. And we said No, but like I have to go in about half an hour to another show to talk about the Mandela
Oh,
effect. So just FYI.
but do you want to leave now so that you have some time to yourself to think?
No, 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 no,
All
no,
right, then
no.
let's take this call.
I have everything I need to think about. Yep.
All right, welcome to the show. This is Rose. Who are we talking to?
Hey, Rose. Hey, Nat. Rachel from New York.
Hey, Rachel, what's up? I was
Oh,
hoping
hello.
you'd come in. What's
Yeah,
up?
I recognize that voice.
Holding the phone. Yeah, I'm holding the phone to my left ear, which is weird because I can't hear out of my right ear. My right ear is like fucked up, and so I'm trying like the colloidal silver, and I'm gonna try some boric acid. It's been like this for like 2 weeks. I don't want to go to the doctor. Like I got like some kind of infection in my right ear. I can't hear shit, and it feels like super pressure, and I don't know. I just whatever. You know what I mean?
Sorry to hear that, and I'm glad you're not going to the doctor because you already got fucked over
Yeah.
by the medical system with antibiotics. I don't think we need any more antibiotics. I think the whole antibiotic thing, we fell for that hoax. And they tell me that I'll die if I don't get antibiotics the next time I quote unquote need them. But I'm really going to use this opportunity to realize that I can't go to the doctor because I'm not putting on a mask. And I won't be around genocide. I mean, even if it's not happening to me, I just can't put my energy into a satanic tool for the elite to kill people, because that's all it is. So, I mean, of course, it's up to everyone else. I am not telling people that everyone's supposed to, sacrifice their lives for this, but I mean, that's just where I'm at. And Rachel, I'm glad that you're not going, but maybe you could do some of the stuff that our friends have been talking about, like with the juicing, and then what's the thing with it about if you detox yourself, it should take care of infections. So I hate to even bring it up. I seriously wish that life didn't operate this way, but Dr. Kaufman is telling me to do enemas and stuff, and like I probably won't, but I mean, that really is the answer for a lot of problems. So if you have the guts, whoever has the guts to do enemas, it's something worth trying.
Yeah, it's like last April, I had surgery. I had massive infections in my legs, and I almost had my big toe cut off, and then there was a problem in the other leg, and I was like, they're like, oh my God, you got to get to the hospital now, or you're gonna fucking die. And then they're like, I'm like, well, right now, and they're like, yo, yeah, right now, you got to go. So I was like, oh fuck. And then so I went, and then eventually that turned into a massive fucking thing. And I was hospitalized for a week, and I was on IV antibiotics constantly for a week. And then I was an outpatient, and I would have to go back to the hospital for 11 more days with IVs. And then I did 40 days of oral antibiotics on top of that. So I was like completely fucked, and everyone's like, wow, you look like really bad. And then, so that, the antibiotics were definitely fucking me up, And so I did listened to some people on Facebook with the colloidal silver and the boric acid. That just came today, so I'm going to be doing that. But even I YouTubed it, and they're even like, doctors are saying like, yeah, like don't use antibiotics for ear infections. Like most of the time, your body will take care of it itself, or you could do like some remedies. But they're kind of not saying, just do antibiotics for ear infections. But that used to be like standard practice, but now they're changing that because they realize it's not really necessary. So I've had this shit before. It's just frustrating. I know it's going to go away eventually, but I don't even know. I have no faith in doctors anymore, and they're gambling. Like surgeons say one thing, and another surgeon says a totally different thing.
Right.
And
right.
And my health benefits just changed from Oxford to Medco. I never even heard of Medco, so I don't even know if it's any good. So who the fuck knows?
Yeah. Oh, I want to point out here that Israel Adams said wild of oregano will make you alkaline immediately. Bacteria/virus cannot exist in alkalinity. And Karen B, she had some tooth pain, and it was so like out of control she couldn't even go live. And she also recommends the oil of oregano for at least, even if not just for the pain, and then also the pure DMSO. And I just wanted to make a point to bring that up, Rachel, because we have mutual friends in the UK, and can you believe it? The dentists are closed right now, and people are living in agony. And so it's just so weird because you want to be like, oh my God, they need to open up the dentists. But then on the other hand, wow, if people can figure out a natural remedy and just do it without having to go to the dentist. Think about the dentists get how many hundreds of dollars out of you per visit, and what if it can all be solved at home? So if you are so unfortunate to be stuck at home when you need a dentist appointment and you're in pain, try some of these natural remedies like DMSO and oil of oregano. And I would not recommend it if I just didn't have a personal friend who said that it like just worked. And I witnessed it working. She's saying, oh crap, my tooth freaking hurts. And then she's like, I'm going to order this stuff. And then she's obviously not in pain anymore. It's just something that I visually observed. And it really excites me because I want us to gather all of these natural remedies.
Yeah, thanks for the.
Hello? Shoot.
All right, I'm back. I lost my internet, but I have returned. Nachiketa, are you back? Hello?
Oh, hey. Hey, okay. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I have no idea what happened. Let's go ahead and pick up
Hello?
oh, I'm still on the phone with Rachel, so I hung up in case she, call back, Rachel. We're back. I lost my internet connection. Here we go. Hey, Rachel, that was so funny. I started saying, oh, Rachel, I'm so sorry, but it seems like your internet, you have disappeared. You're not talking. Nachiketa, that's a shame. Nachiketa, Nachiketa, Nachiketa. And then my tab refreshed and the error message. But anyway, we're back.
What was the question?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, Nach. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I was just asking what you were saying.
Oh yeah, like in a way, I guess you can always try to find the good in stuff, even how stupid it is. But in a way, it's kind of better that we're having to learn about, you know, not depending on doctors and shit, and even stores maybe, because you know, maybe it's teaching us a lesson that we got to be more self-sufficient. But yeah, who the fuck knows? But yeah, the mask thing, the mask thing, I don't really think that they could keep it up anymore. And a big thing will be if schools open in September, because they're never going to be able to enforce masks in school. And another thing about like people waking up. My boss, who literally has been saying forever that I'm just a conspiracy nut and believes everything, like the moon landing, like mass shootings, like everything, right? So he literally will never question anything. And then he saw the video of the Floyd thing, and he's like, "Oh my God, that's fake." And then with the rioting on top of that, and then he has friends in NYPD, and his friends are saying like, "No, for real, like every morning they tell us to stand." So he knows that at least the rioting and the the Floyd thing is a scam. He doesn't think that Rona is a scam because he has a friend that almost died. But I have two people at I have a coworker that lost their mother, but their mother was like 82 with lung problems. So, but the whole thing is, it's people who know someone who's got sick in the hospital with Rona, they believe Rona. So that's cementing in their face. You know, that you can't talk them out of it. But the Floyd thing, and the fact that the Floyd thing is right on top of the Rona, it's waking more people up. And then also sports fans who would never be truthers, you know, shutting down all the sports in the world is waking a lot of people up that never would wake up. So I think their time is running out. I think it's scam across the board with anything. And deep down, I don't think they're really going to fucking do anything. I don't think they're going to vaccine. I don't think they're going to force masks too much longer. I don't think, well, they're not even really enforcing it now. But people will yell at you. And like, I almost got into like a couple of fights with people for being dicks about masks. But like, I just said like, "Oh, you think you're tough? Well, just be tough out in the parking lot. And I think you're a dick. So see you later." You know, and then that's that. You know, I didn't make a big scene. It was just like, very matter of fact. Like, I think you're a dick. I don't think you're tough. I think you're tough because you have a job telling people to wear masks, and you're just a fucking moron. And I said, but if you really want to be tough, you know, be tough outside. And then that just shuts my fuck down. And so deep down they really they don't want people to think it's real, because think about it, and they don't want to paralyze people, and it's not that kill agenda, because look at it, they cut millions of people lost their jobs, but they paying them an extra $600 like a week or something for unemployment. That doesn't sound like they pretend to get people on their knees, right? They pretend to get people on the ground, you know, and then have them almost tap out, and then they like help them out and be like, "Hey buddy, like let me buy you dinner," you know. So it's not really like it's just some kind of game for them. It's not. I don't think they have the means to fucking kill everybody. I don't think they even have the will. And I'm not even believing the satanic shit anymore. I think all these people, I think they make up rumors about themselves. Like, "Oh, look at Lady Gaga eating a piece of cake that looks like a person," and like it's fake. Like, you can go to a house party and they'll like take your phone and like no pictures. You know what I mean? And so, but the Illuminati billionaires, they're going to let pictures like that go out. It's complete bullshit. And you know, like Bill Gates, you know, like, "Oh, 666 vaccine," and it's too corny. It's like they get the idea from like Batman, and they're not serious, and we shouldn't. Yeah.
No, I mean, like, maybe you're right. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's possible that they are allowing certain things to leak, you know, and just fabricating everything. But I don't know. It's hard for me to believe that these pedophilia and like some kind of like, you know, horrific sacrifices don't go on personally, because I feel like there is like a coven, or you know, there's so many witches and I just kind of tend to feel like it's not a hoax myself, but that's just my opinion about it.
No, I've gone back and forth on that, and I think it's like, I think they invented. But first of all, I always say the truth is, you can't bust mass media by quoting mass media. So where do we hear about Epstein and pedophiles? We heard that like on mass media. So it's definitely
That is a good point. The information control is so crazy. So it's really about gathering that data and using one's discernment. I definitely think there's evil psychos out there. And I just wouldn't put it past anyone. There's a lot of evidence that I think is extremely compelling. But on the other hand, me and my experiences in LA and being on sets and dealing with actors and people that are trying to get famous, I can totally see them just, if they were accused of or told to dress like towards the satanic agenda, in their minds, even if they're not involved, they might laugh at it and be like, that's so funny that they think that. It's art. It's just art, because they're brainwashed and they just think that they don't know what's happening behind the scenes. But the effect of it on human consciousness is what I'm worried about, and the social engineering, and that it might be a tip of the hat. So even though Katy Perry or Lady Gaga, let's say that they're just idiot puppets and they don't actually have these satanic beliefs, and they're just acting like they do to be funny because they think it's ironic, they're representing people whose names and faces we don't know, who are satanic and who do actually find the value in things like drinking blood. Just based on what I know. And yeah, I could definitely see why going back and forth. I've done it myself, and I think it's a good thing to always be questioning, Rachel. And I commend you, because a lot of people might be like, oh, she's questioning the satanic agenda. And there are other agendas that you obviously question as well. And so that's why I think that you are valuable to this conversation. We all should be discussing these different viewpoints and ways that we could be missing the mark.
Yeah, I just think that well, first of all, actors, when I tell people that actors are acting, they're like out of their mind, shocked. They're like, what? Like, you're out of your fucking mind. Like, I'm a custodian, right? So I say, like, I mop every day. They're like, you're fucking kidding, right? So it's like, that's my fucking job. So their job is acting. And when they say they sold their soul, they just signed on the dotted line, like, hey, you're on call 24/7. You want to be our A-lister? You're going to be on call 24/7 to do whatever the fuck we tell you to do. And they're like, well, I'm making stupid, ridiculous money. So fuck it. They say fuck it. They're fucking, a lot of these people that are entertainers, I was fucking married to one, they're like a triple threat. They're musicians, they're actors, they're singers, they're dancers.
Yep.
They have it all covered. Most of these actors, they sing, they dance, they have to do all this shit, and they trained all their life to get these fucking roles. So it's like, Katy Perry probably wanted to be an actress.
Yeah, it's a dream deal.
Yeah, so they're gonna.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good deal for them.
They're gonna do whatever they're gonna do whatever the fuck it takes to keep themselves at that level.
Absolutely.
Even if they have to, people think they like eat.
Well, yeah.
They don't care.
And they probably don't even get to experience what people's opinions of them. They just stay off the internet, so they don't even see the reaction to their art, quote unquote art.
They have publicists. Publicists handle shit.
Yep.
So Jazz Jennings, the trans teenage girl, right? Who's probably a scam. But who the fuck knows? She's like 17 years old, right? So she doesn't. She's not on her Facebook. She's never on her Facebook. Someone else is doing her Facebook.
Yep,
so
that is correct.
A small time kid like that, right? Has publicists. So people think, oh, Hillary is deleting emails. My ass. Hillary ever even read an email in her fucking life. I don't read my fucking emails. You think Hillary is fucking delete? Oh my God. Oh shit, there's a penis enlargement sold from 99. How did that get here? Blah, 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 blah. A Nigerian fucking prince. Blah, 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 blah. It's just like, who the fuck cares about email? You know what I mean? Nobody cares. So people are, you can't bust mass media by mass media. And these people, there's no leaks, nothing's getting uncovered. People are like, oh, with the internet now, you can't fool people. Shit gets out there, you're gonna get busted. No. With the internet now is more bullshit gets out there instantly and worldwide. It's not the other way around. It's like, okay, we need to put out a fake situation with a cop in New York City beating up people in mass. Nobody is getting beat up because they're not wearing a mask in New York City. Nobody. I walk right up to cops and everything, nothing, no mask, nothing. They don't say shit. Nothing's getting enforced. And with the satanic shit, it's like, okay, so how are we gonna make society? Because there's only one way for the few. Still there? Okay. There's only one way for the few to control the many, and that's fear. So how are they going to make the few, like 1% or less than 1%, the trillionaires, the billionaires and trillionaires? They're like, how are we going to get people to think we're unpenetratable? There's no defense against us. That we're just more powerful than them. Like, oh, let's say that we're satanic, and like we talk to Satan. And we're reptiles, and we're just we go by codes, and we put this thing over our eyes. We cover an eye so that makes us, we're communicating with our secret language. It's all fucking bullshit. It's all smoke and mirrors. But Mark Passio said one thing. He goes, a bunch of psychology geniuses, psychology majors, formed a cult and took over the world. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Well,
I definitely
yeah.
hear that.
And Passio says Satanism is about caring about yourself only. It has nothing to do with the devil. They said Satanism, they don't even believe in Satan.
Right.
So
Satan is a part of Christianity.
And he was in the Church of Satan, so he knows.
Yeah. Definitely.
I don't know.
Going around in circles with this one in my mind.
Yeah.
Just don't
I tend to believe that there are, negative, malefic spiritual entities myself. I mean, obviously this physical reality isn't all that exists. We just get to experience a fraction of it. And I just feel like there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, interdimensional. And, I've done a lot of quote unquote alien research, and now I'm a flat earther, and then I have a different idea about aliens now. And, we have people who do ghost research, and we have schizophrenia. There's a lot of stuff going on. I feel like there's a big chessboard out there, and we're playing 4D, 5D chess, in certain ways. And it's just really about perception and how much one is willing to look into it and put their time into the fact that what is real and what is not real. And nobody can tell you. Nobody can say to you, Rachel or Rose, that this is real or this is not real. It's something that we all have to conclude on our own, based on our own research.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm pretty much leaning towards that. There are people involved in this kind of ritualistic, harm-causing, disgusting behavior that they talk about, but nothing that we are getting from the media is an accurate depiction of it. It's like you said, smoke and mirrors. It's like a thumbprint for what's really going on behind the scenes. And even their hints about it are designed to lead us in the wrong direction. So I think in the vein of what Passio discusses, I really do truly feel that as long as we understand the difference between right and wrong, and that there are going to be consequences for our own human behavior, and that we know who we are, it's going to that is what is going to be conducive to positive change. Taking personal responsibility and not being swayed by the psychologists or the Satanists or those who aim to deceive us and control us. Because we could agree on that, is that we are being deceived.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we don't know what's actually going on, but it's something worth hiding.
there's no doubt
Yeah, my latest thing
about
is,
it. There's no doubt about it that we are being deceived.
Oh yeah, well, deception. I think Satan is actually synonymous with deception. So I think deception is such a vulgar, vile act, of destroying trust of everyone that people actually named it Satan because it's unfathomable that people could they could exist to deceive people. Like, oh, what am I gonna do today? I'm gonna wake up. I'm just gonna fuck with everybody.
And that's what a sociopath does. They find joy out of fucking with other human beings. They don't know how to relate. While a psychopath is kind of just dealing with their mind and like acting impulsively on it. A sociopath is really just psychopath doesn't want to be around other humans, but a sociopath does want to be around humans and fuck them over. Anyway, Nachiketa, did you have to go?
I think I'm gonna have to get going pretty soon, but yeah. So
I don't want you to be late to your thing. That's why I brought it up.
Wait, one second, Nach. You're perfect to deal with this.
Yeah.
If I was in your situation where it's just like all wilderness and stuff, right? And say like you didn't have internet, right? You're just out there and you're looking at birds flying by and lizards and shit, right? If there's probably lizards in India, I don't know, probably. So so you're looking.
There
at
are a lot of lizards, yeah.
And everything. Yeah. Do you like? Would you wake up and like go outside, like near your like little monkey rope things, and would you go outside and say like, "Oh my God, look at this satanic realm"? Would you say that? Would you be like, "Oh my God, I think Satan is coming to take over the world"? You wouldn't think that.
Well,
nice day,
no. But like, if I was like born and raised here, like and like the people here are completely innocent, but they come from a tradition. They have all these little villages. They have little gods they carry around and pray to, and they really revere. So like they have their concept. All of us have our concepts that are passed down to us culturally, right? This idea of angels and demons from the Bible and all this stuff.
That's cultural.
It's a programming.
That's cultural programming.
It is. Yep.
You're getting influenced.
So you're saying like if I was
society.
Yeah, of course. So if you say that if you were born on an island and it was just you and somehow you were able to survive, and then you have no ability to understand language or anything, you would not think about demons, but you might encounter, who knows, you might encounter something that you don't have a language for, But I kind of have an idea what you're trying to say.
Manipulation from every there's manipulation from every angle. Like every single thought we have is not our own. It's not our own. We got it from somewhere.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree with that. That's true. And we can get thought frequencies from the bad guys, and we might be able to have good, loving, happy frequencies from the good guys. Maybe they're not our own. I'm not sure.
Yeah, like I think when I watched your video about DMT, when you go into like another dimension, when you're just I think tripping is like okay, it gives you a couple of minutes to leave the noise behind, so it's just like it's like 1, 2, 3, here we go, and it's just like and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, gone, like all the noise is gone. All the TVs are off. Everything is off. Even your body is gone. So then it's 100% you and your essence. And I think that's the truth right there. When you find out what your exact essence is, and then you come back, it's like, oh my God, there's so much garbage all around me. This is like a tabloid. Like every speck of life is like a tabloid. And my latest thing is that reset stuff. And that John Levy or Levi channel where it's like inherited shit, and that's an incredible topic. It's incredible. Like, okay, 1850 in Nebraska, there's a fucking 435-foot granite building with a dome and it has like a fucking giant glass ball on top. When people are like on horseback, where the fuck did that come from? Yeah,
absolutely.
The whole idea the whole idea to erase history and facts and civilizations and everything is to simply not fucking mention it.
Yes, it's there's definitely some concerted effort to erase history, and not only that, they're trying to insert history through like Black Tom and Torpedo Alley, you name it. I mean, changing of events in history. Technology is also changing. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of things to consider. But the evidence overwhelming. The evidence is way overwhelming for the 1850s reset. We must have had some kind of reset, and the fact, a lot of these buildings were designed for big people, like giants. And the question is, where did they go, or are we smaller versions of giants? And some people speculate, and I tend to subscribe to this idea that maybe we were taken underground or taken somewhere, because there are some medical reports talking about how lack of vitamin D, which is sunlight, actually causes children to have diminutive properties. So if you have 2, 3, 4 generations worth of that, maybe we lose 3, 4, 5 feet. Who knows?
Yeah, Nachiketa, that's something I noticed when I have looked at different kidnapped children that were saved after 20 years of being in captivity. They look much younger. They look like small 10, 9-year-old children when some of them were 17. But what I think you're talking, I don't know if the vitamin D situation would be incremental over time to a species where they're born with those genetics that make them shorter, or if those situations of being without the sun makes someone who would otherwise have grown to a normal height, but in that lifetime they're shorter because of it, because of that experience, or maybe a combination of the two. And how much time do you think it would take to shrink a species like that?
I think it's pretty quick.
Well, those are very good questions, and yeah, I think not too long. Yeah, 2, 3, 4 generations. I think it will be enough. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think this stuff. Roy talks about the Overton window a lot, and I actually don't agree with that. I think drastic change comes like this. I think it comes drastic. I don't think, they might hint at stuff with some like predictive programming about what they might do or whatever. But look at drastic. This is drastic is happening this year. And the funny thing is, I told everyone at my job, I said shit is going down this year under Trump because it's 2020. He was picked to be there. He's going to take the blame for the whole thing. I hate all politicians. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who is who. They're all garbage to me.
Yep.
So, they're all making millions. They're making billions. Let's face it, they'll do anything they want. They're just like sluts, like the entertainment business.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. So
absolutely.
I
think, 100% agree with you.
I said it.
Yes.
Yeah, I said it in January. I said, it's going down this year. Everything's changing right now. It's going to make 9/11 look like absolute child's play.
Yep.
People are like, no, Rachel, you're not in our lifetime. See, that's the problem. That's the problem. Everyone says not in our lifetime. I said, no, these fucks are obsessed with numbers. And I said, 2020 means clarity. No matter how you slice it, it's a magic number. Like clarity, perfect.
It's also a master builder number when you break it down to 22, which is double 11, the master builder number. They're creating a new reality right now. And yeah, Rachel, I agree with the Overton window for certain things. There are certain things that they use the Overton window to introduce. But I think now that what we're experiencing, what we are actually seeing before our very eyes, you cannot deny that this was a massive, sudden, implemented change. But I think that here's what I'm thinking. The incremental changes that occurred before in the quote unquote pre-programming, whatever you want to call it, the conditioning that brought us to be able, for them to be able to implement it, they had to test us and test our reactions to their bullshit for quite a bit, maybe the past, 30 years. And then they were just like, yep, 2020 is going to be a success.
Yeah, they had to. It's not like, the revelation of the method where they have to tell you what they're going to do. What they do is things get more scary if it's foreshadowed in the story. You know, so it's just like if they just said, if they didn't do anything, right? If there was no like, oh, I'm satanic, Lady Gaga's eating children, and you know, spirit cooking and all this garbage. But if they didn't like hint forever about Satanism, when they do something like this, people will be like, "What the fuck are you doing, asshole?" And so then they have to ramp up the thing. So the thing is, like, oh my God, it's a satanic agenda. Like Satan and God are at war, and we have to be on the right side and all this. But it wouldn't mean anything if it didn't have the Bible, it didn't have Satan, it didn't have evil and Batman comic characters and like, oh, they're gonna fuck. It's just they had to build it up, or else if they just said, hey, you know, everybody's gotta wear a mask now, people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know what I mean? There's some hype. Yeah. They have to fucking hype it. They have to fucking hype it. Yeah. But if you equate Satanism with deception, well, then we live in a satanic realm because it's all deception.
Right.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. Nachiketa, I spoke over you a little bit before. I hope you didn't forget what you were going to say.
No, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we're trying to discuss. Like for me, I come from a non-dualistic viewpoint, like similar to Walter Russell's viewpoint of this world. But I don't deny that there is quote unquote evil. But if the evil or false or lies have to go against the truth will always win. God always wins for me. God always wins for me. That doesn't mean there isn't darkness. But the thing is, when we get to a problem, when we say, oh, there is no darkness or all this kind of stuff, I'd say, no, there is darkness. Let's recognize it for what it is. None of us here that I think we care to hear about pedophilia or people being murdered and ritually sacrificed. We're not for any of that, obviously. And whether or not they hype it up, see, like the lies that they tell, to me, the lies they tell, like they want to make themselves, it's like Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Like if your enemy thinks you're strong, then make yourself look weak. If enemy thinks you're weak, make yourself look strong. It's like always trying to deceive everybody and their perception of who you are. So if the bad guys think that, you know, they're always throwing something out there. I mean, it's really clever, everything that they're doing in my mind. You know, it's genius level stuff.
Yeah, there is darkness because normal people, they just simply wouldn't make their lifetime career being absolute deception, douchebag fucks. And they also wouldn't promote abortion, and then they wouldn't grow cultures on like 3-month-old aborted fetus tissue and then add mercury and aluminum and formaldehyde and shoot it into newborn babies. I mean, how do you think of that one?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This little baby. Look at this precious little baby, like the baby on the juice thing that you just showed, right? Oh, quick! I know what this baby needs.
Oh gosh.
This baby needs like cannibalism, dead, like fetus parts injected in their blood. That's definitely what they need.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect example of how this people, if I said, hey, can I please make you this wonderful soup that involves mercury and human diploid cells and monkey kidney cells, you'd say, no thanks, Rose. I'd rather go to frickin' McDonald's than drink that. But when a scientist says, oh, it's science and we're going to inject this into you for all these scientific reasons, this is going to help your child, people will just blindly accept that because an authority figure that they think wants to help them. So, I mean, unless people realize that these so-called authority figures do not have their best interests in mind, or they're brainwashed to follow orders, just like a police officer does. That's basically what doctors are. Doctors are like the new Nazis that are just perpetuating stuff because it's their job. And that's the way I see it. And I wish that every doctor would stand up and risk losing their license to say the truth, but nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to compromise the life that they've built for themselves. And also they might justify it by saying, oh, well, my family's used to having 4 cars and a 5-story house, and I have all these possessions that I have loans on. I have to keep working, and there's no other job I can get that will yield me this kind of lifestyle. So it is an extremely complicated situation. Also, let's say the surgeons who do fix broken bones, or do amputate a dead foot. I certainly would not want a back a back alley amputation. So it is so complicated. They truly have put us into a situation where no matter what, a sacrifice is going to be made.
Yeah, it's bananas, and there's no way. See, I'm in a job, Rona. I'm in a job where I probably want to be, we'd probably have mandatory vaccine. But the thing is, I'm not going to take another vaccine because I'm already vaccine damaged. I have paralyzed toes. I can't feel my feet. Like I've broken toes and I couldn't feel it, and I don't have good movement in my feet, and that's led to massive problems with my toes. And and then I said it was right after a vaccine, and I did tons of tests and stuff, and they're never going to admit it, but it's right there in the insert, that says like massive neuropathy paralysis.
Yeah.
So there's no I'm dealing with the consequences of being talked into having a vaccine in 2013, and immediately my toes are paralyzed. So there's no fucking way I'm getting another vaccine. If I have to, if I have to retire early from my job,
never.
2 more years. I got a year and a half before I get 20 in my job, and then I can retire with something. So if it's going to be mandatory vaccines, hopefully I'll have that time. And then if they say, "Hey, Rachel, you need mandatory
vaccines,"
I'll be like, "Well, I'm just going to retire."
Yeah.
I won't have enough money to live in New York. I'd have to move, but I would get some money instead of nothing.
No, but your health is, more important than that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks for letting me rant like crazy.
You're the best. I love you.
All right. Thanks for the call, Rachel.
Happy birthday, Sue. Love you. All right. Thanks a lot, Nats. See you later.
Later. Hey, Rose, I got to get going.
I know you do. That's why I had to close the call.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
You did. Okay. And I just want to say thank you for everybody for coming. And I got to actually hop on over to another place. But it was great talk today. I'm not sure if we were able to cover everything that we wanted to cover. But hey, let's save that meetup and you as a moderator at some point. I think that will be a great and maybe interesting thing for everybody. And maybe who knows what will come of it, So
we don't know what will come of it. I think that it's a great idea, and I will definitely try and organize that maybe for Thursday after Poppycock.
Sounds good. I'm around, so I will. I'll be exiting out of here, and I'll talk to you later. Love you, Rose.
All right. Cheers, Nachiketa. Love you as always. I love our talks. You're the best.
Yeah. You're the best. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. All right, and that was my good friend Nachiketa. He is just, what can you say? I love him. So does anyone else want to call in before I go? I'm still free for another 20-ish minutes. So if someone else wants to call in, I am here to listen. Let's see who's in the chat here. Kelly F.E., Kevlar, Mark Bloom. What's up? Mark put a really awesome comment here. Let me scroll up. Rochable 7. Baldini received a letter for himself, Red Fox, and me, thanking us for making her feel less alone in the world. This is something positive we're all accomplishing by being here. And that is so true. We all have something positive to offer to this community. We're all able to relate to each other. I definitely I get amazing letters all the time, and it is so reaffirming to know that you're helping people, that people relate to what you're saying. And so for anyone out there that wants to start their own channel and thinks that, no one's going to be there to listen, I guarantee go for it, stay at it, put your intentions out there, put your thoughts out there, and people are going to gravitate to you when they resonate with what you're saying. And, we all have different ways of dealing with this crazy situation, and all of us have really important things to offer. We all come from different backgrounds. And so it just really excites me when I see more and more people starting their own channels. It's certainly why I started my channel. I just want to put myself out there. I am a human being. I am here, and take what I say for what you will. And with that being said, I think I'm going to end it if nobody's going to call. I'll set up a song to close it out. What should we end with here? I'm really loving ODB right now, so how about I grab another one of his? And I hope that everyone has a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. And I hope that you all enjoyed the Poppycock Report. If you're here and you missed the Poppycock Report, it's the video that was right before this. So check that out with the great Baldini. We brought forth the Perpykirklyhoodness-dom. All right, hopefully I get. Oh wait, here's a new video here. I just don't know which one to pick. Let's go with this.
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
In America, they watch you and they track your every move. They're even putting poison in your food. In America, the people are too blind to see the truth. But it's too late, and there's nothing we can do. In America, just watch your favorite show and watch the news, so they can pre-program you with your views. In America, get a job, obey the law, support the troops, and just get back, cause there's nothing we can do.
This is the divided states of Illuminati land. People stumbling all over the place like zombies, man. Just like the Walking Dead, they got this country zombified. All your water's fluoridated, all your food is modified. You are what you eat, so I guess that means that you're a GMO. And you don't even know, but you're too blind to see it though. You have to be asleep to have the American dream. Just how they need it, cause your freedom was never a thing. The best kind of slaves are the slaves that don't know that they're slaves. Stuck in a daze and they behave how they're told to behave. Good little sheeple people, always happy, always gleeful. No revolting, no rebelling, no uprising, no upheaval. The ones that rule us wanna keep us all clueless and weak. It's not looking so good for humans, the future is bleak. You think you are unique, but really you're a replica, created by the false education that they gave you here.
In America, they watch you and they track your every move. They're even putting poison in your food. In America, the people are too blind to see the truth. But it's too late, and there's nothing we can do. In America, just watch your favorite show and watch the news, so they can pre-program you with your views. In America, get a job, obey the law, support the troops, and just get back, cause there's nothing we can do.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
We are conditioned every minute of every day, and being ignorant is just the American way. The national debt is a debt we can never repay, but if they say to pay your taxes, you better obey. Hypocritical kingdom of wicked criminals, using symbols and signals to fill your head with subliminals. When you watch TV, it's corroding your mind. When the 5G network goes online, there'll be nowhere to hide. Electromagnetic frequencies all around us so frequently. Nothing is what it seems to be. They deceive us so easily. No one even believe in me while they're meeting in secrecy. Have you seen the world recently? Never treating us decently. What happened to liberty and justice for all? Dictators free themselves, but we don't get nothing at all. I just want you to know the truth, so please don't shoot the messenger. It's a bitch, but this is how it is when you live.
In America, they watch you and they track your every move. They're even putting poison in your food. In America, the people are too blind to see the truth, but it's too late, and there's nothing we can do. In America, just watch your favorite show and watch the news, so they can pre-program you with your views. In America, get a job,
obey the law, support the troops, and just get back, cause there's nothing we